righty, we will, apologies for the delay, few technical delays we're having, but welcome to the Berlin Select Board meeting. Today is Monday, September, where has the summer gone, 16th. I will open the meeting at 9:16, and I would like to, I would like to open the meeting at 6:37. I would like to remind everybody that this is an open session. Public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice will be recorded. All right, first up, approval of minutes.
Were there any?
Oh, yes. I
Like-
put them in very late last night, like at 9:30.
Oh, you gotta tell me, because I already
Oh.
did my,
That's fine. You want to skip them? We can
yeah,
just do it
can we
next time.
defer?
We can defer
All right.
until next week. All right, general public comment? Nope. All right. We're going to jiggle things around on the agenda for our special guest, Graziella. Come on down to the front. We'll get you in and out of here, and then we'll skip back to the department updates.
That's fine.
Yes, have a
Okay.
seat.
First time I feel like I'm in a court. What did I do?
Oh, wait a minute. Is that a little bit better? We'll
Yeah.
get you the whole feeling for the
Order,
for the
order.
order. All right, so you are back because you, unknown to you, didn't get the victular license.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't aware. We apply for everything, but that license, I guess, and we prepared some food there,
Okay.
and people consume right there at the
Alright.
cafe. So
Dee, any issues with this?
No, they have their food permit and feedback has come back fine.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Graziella?
How's everything going?
going amazing.
Good,
It's pretty good.
good.
More like very, very busy, like crazy busy. But
Yeah.
it's a good thing, right?
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, it's people are loving it so far. I
Great.
guess. Our Google reviews have been wonderful.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, would you like me to make a motion?
Yes, please.
I will make a motion to approve the common victulars license for Hay Kiddos.
And I will second it. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go. You're
Yay.
done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's
Yay.
a beautiful space.
Thank you
We
so
wish you all the
much.
best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
If you need
Absolutely.
anything, reach out,
Yes.
see what we can do for you.
Thank you so much. I really
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Have a
Thank you,
lovely
guys.
evening. Thank you for
You
coming. We
too.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so back on track for the agenda. That would be
I'll call you probably tomorrow
Chief
with the license,
Shatna
okay?
and Chief McQuillan. Come on down. You're the next contestants on the select board meeting. I can't believe there's no FIA.
Yeah, everybody has pretty much said that today. You are not alone in that.
It's all right. Gentlemen, Eric, you want to start?
All right, so month of August, the department handled 1,097 calls for service, 15 cases involving criminal charges, 17 motor vehicle crashes, only 4 this month, or last month, who have reported injuries involved, 201 motor vehicle stops, 99 citations issued. The drone unit was busy again last month. They did a total of 5 calls, 3 calls within town, and 2 for Marlboro. Sergeant Gilchrist and Detective Jerome attended the annual juvenile law conference held in Boxborough. As we know, our laws change drastically, especially with juveniles. So it's nice to have those two who really work on most of our cases involving juveniles for crimes are trained in it. The new cruiser is finished in rotation. The cruiser that we ordered this past May, I'm told December or January for delivery. And then from there, it's probably 4 to 8 months for outfitting. And Chief McQuillan does have the old Car 3 now. It's been turned over to the fire department for them to recreate into a fire car. Accreditation. A lot of work was done last month towards accreditation. We did a video walkthrough of what to expect. They definitely found some deficiencies, nothing major. It's more little things like signage needs to be, we need more signage in the lobby. more pamphlets. We did do a major overhaul of the officers' room and cleaned it up, and it looks amazing now. Got rid of some VHS tapes. You know, so for the Gen Xers and above.
They have no idea what that is.
They, you know, we get that little joke.
Mhm.
You know, the biggest thing is, like, I've had Sergeant Andre there, we're starting to make a list of little things, like, you know, it's $80 for this, $120 for that, $300 for this, but, you know, rather than just spend it in little increments, I want to know the actual cost. So we're coming together with a spreadsheet of the little things that we need to do. As we know, like, when we talk about little things, there's 25 little things. You know, is it going to be $2,500? Is it going to be $12,500? So, you know, we're being very cautious with that. So, but you know, the two major ticket items I know are going to be the key fobs for the evidence room and the armory. Right now, they're keyed, and they want to see those on fobs so they can actually log who goes into them. But I know that those are going to be pretty good expenses. But and on the flip side, we were talking about pricing out extra cameras for the building, put one on the parking lot. I was advised last week that there's money left over in the grant that they may be doing that for us and getting us a new server. So, ACO report came in, it was attached. She had a busy month last, I think it was her 16 calls for her last month, and you know, it's not showing any signs of slowing down this month for her. But that's about it for us.
So for clarification, because Berlin has no leash law, and I call and say there's a dog running down the road, she can't come and get it, can she, because there is no leash law?
Under statute, she's not supposed to come get it.
Okay.
You know, but the issue we have is a lot of people pick up the dogs and bring them here, or, you know, call us, and, you know, a lot of times we go, we put it on Facebook, and within 15, 20 minutes, we find the owners.
Okay.
But, yeah, there's a lot of communication back and forth on pretty much every call. I usually get an email or a phone call. So, yeah, we're trying to curb that. It's just that a lot of people that travel through town live in communities that have leash laws, and they're like, that dog is supposed to be leashed. They're like, no, it's Berlin. So, you know, I mean, I enjoy it. Like, I'm, as you know, I have a dog, and, you know, there's nothing worse to me than seeing a dog being tied up all the time, so.
All right. Don't go away, because I got a question for you. What's up there, Mr. Chief?
Well, before you have the report for our activity for the month of August. We saw 63 emergency responses, which is a little over 2 per day on average. And the list of fire prevention activities is about 60 inspections that were done for the month. It's down a little bit compared to what we're used to, but during the summer, that's what we tend to see. For activity, the 3 new stores that are opening at the Highland Commons, X-Golf, Pliable, and the Paper Store are all in the process of fitting their spaces. Inspections have been performed there. Spirit Halloween has temporarily opened at Highland Commons as well. Inspections of the space was conducted and no issues were found, and they'll be open through Halloween. As you heard from Graziella, Hey Kiddos indoor children's play area has officially opened at the Solomon Pond Mall. This has been a long road for them, and I applaud them because they had a lot of roadblocks to go get through, but they got over those hurdles. The final inspections were conducted, and they were allowed to open with a few minor checklist items that we're following up with them on, and we gave them a timeline to do all that and stuff. They've been fantastic to work with, and I don't think there's going to be any issues with them meeting those requirements. I do have one additional call firefighter that is appointed to the department. Tim Chimpaglia started at the end of the month. He came on board with us. I'm happy to report that he's a previous employee of the department who had stepped away for a brief time, and we're thrilled to have him back. So we look forward to having him and getting him into the rotation with us. Training for the month of August was focused on airbag operations and special rescue circumstances. Crews focused on lifting objects and vehicles that may come down in construction zones or workspaces, trapping people beneath them. For EMS, we covered CPR and certifications to handle respiratory and cardiac arrest scenarios. August was a busy time for us for maintenance. We completed all of our hose testing and ladder testing. It's a little bit expensive for that, but it certifies that the hose and ladders meet the standards set forth to be used in emergent situations. And that kind of covers us in the event there's any type of an accident or a failure. We have the documentation to show that the equipment more than met the standard and would exceed what was supposed to be expected of it. We did receive a new gear extractor and dryer. It was delivered, and the installation process for that has begun. That was the funds that were raised on the warrant article at town meeting, and hopefully we'll have that in service in the next month as we run some new electrical services to it. As Chief Shartner alluded to, the PD received their new cruiser, and the Fire Units Department is the Explorer Hybrid. We're converting that. We're going to be outfitting it with some lights and putting a radio in it, and then we're going to redo the lettering on the side because we want to make sure that it's different than a police cruiser. We don't want anybody to mistake that. August had 33 open shifts that were unfilled. It's a decrease from June and July, and most of those open shifts occurred overnight. So we're still working on trying to get ahead of those open shifts that we have. The call department has been answering those calls, but there's a big lag in response times when that happens. Just continue to highlight the home safety check program that is available for anybody in town. Those have slowed down for the summer, so I'm hoping they'll pick back up with people being back at home for the fall and winter time. Lieutenant Jonathan Polino at Fire Prevention at townofberlin.com, or you can call the station to schedule a safety check or a car seat installation through firefighter Michelle DeVoe, and we'll be happy to do that. For the radio project, we continue to be slowed down by American Tower in regards to our radio upgrade project. We completed an application on what they call credit approval, which is a standard form for us to go through, and upon completing that, they wanted us to do another application to have access to the tower. We're continuing to work with them while they make this happen as quickly as possible, but the constant delays are getting kind of annoying, and we're kind of entering into, when we started this probably about 3 years ago, it was more of a maintenance issue. Now it's becoming more of a safety issue because we have a lot of areas that we're just not getting coverage for the first responders. So I've gotten a little aggressive with my emails towards American Tower to try to get them to fast track this, because this is something they didn't identify 3 years ago. They just identified that we needed to do this about 2 months ago. So it's been a bit of a frustration. Second floor renovation project is moving forward. The architect is finishing up the plans for that build out, and hopefully we'll have that in the next couple weeks. We've met with Assabet and are working through the logistics of procurement and utilizing student labor. And just as a piece of information, when we met with the architect, he basically said if we were going to cost out the labor and stuff right now to actually hire a crew to go in there and stuff, would be probably closer to $2.5 million to do that space. So just mentioning that because he brought that up. Unfortunately, Fee is not here, but she continues to go out to the public and meet residents and businesses as we acclimate her to working with people. She loves seeing children and meeting people. Training continues slowly, working with commands and adherence to instructions. Sometimes I get frustrated, but I have to remember she's not quite 5 months old yet, so she's actually doing really good. I thank everyone for their patience, and she's excited to see people and jumps to say hi. That's the one big thing we're working on right now, is her jumping up to give a kiss. And we're working on this, and I promise we're going to get ahead of it. There was an excellent article written about her in the paper from the Clinton item, and I have to give kudos to Jen on that. It was a great article. We're actively recruiting for a full-time firefighter EMT. Our first round of applicants resulted in the candidate we sought going somewhere else. So I have an internal posting, and I'm hopeful and pretty confident that we'll fill the position from somebody internally in the next month or so. And October 5th will be the fire department open house for 2024. Some of the things we have planned this year is going to be fire truck rides. We have Smokey Bear's 80th birthday celebration that we're going to do that we'll have a cake for. We'll have s'mores to go over campfire safety. There'll be an obstacle course for the children. The drone unit will be there. We have the fire chief for the day contest, and we also, weather permitting and calls, we're going to have Life Flight helicopters going to be landing there that day too. So that's my update as of right now. So,
I have questions. You go.
Okay. Question for Eric. EVOC?
EVOC, Emergency Vehicle Operator Course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was Explorer Hybrid somehow, but
Oh,
no.
all right. Did I put EVOC in there?
I don't remember where it was in the context of your report, but I thought, I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay.
So, and I don't know whether, have you had a chance to talk to our fire chief about talking to us about ALS?
I have. In
Yep.
fact, I believe he is prepared to do so.
yes,
Oh,
I'll be
all
doing
right.
that next.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next meeting or next?
After
in a couple
we're done with
minutes?
questions from you
Okay.
guys and we're ready for that.
Okay. Any more questions? for
Nope,
me?
that's
All right.
it.
Chief Shatner.
Yes.
as we discussed, traffic in the center of town is basically adult Frogger as you're trying to get from one side of the road to the other. And as much as I would love a box of bricks on either side, which I have no doubt would make cars stop, I know it's highly illegal. I get that. Is there any plans to update those blinking lights that people just do not see anymore?
So I believe the DPW does have the brand-new pedestrian crossing.
Okay.
It's just finding the
Time.
amount of time to put them in. The install is, I mean, we could hire a company to probably come in and do it in 4 or 5 hours, but the price tag would be astronomical. So the last I knew, the grant that we got from last year, those are in. It is definitely time to get those in.
Will
The
you be
solar
putting-
ones just aren't cut yet.
You don't see them. Will you be putting officers out there? Because I have a
Yes.
feeling that even with the sign up,
Yeah, usually with new signs comes heavy patrol, so.
and lots of marketing to let
Yeah.
people in town know.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Through the
right.
chair, there'll also be the Complete Streets project that is in its, not even inception yet, but that will be looking at that whole downtown area with a particular eye to pedestrian walkability and bicycle safety. So that will be something they'll take a look at as part of it too.
Okay. All right. Chief McQuillan.
So before we get into the ALS, I have 2 other things that kind of, oh, you had a question for me. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I know you're ready to go. I'll
Yep.
keep them brief.
That was pretty good, though.
That was pretty good, though. First aid, any chance you can offer it to the town? I know that we've talked about it.
It's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Any other questions before?
Yeah, I do. So in your report, you had mentioned the 2.5 million.
Yes.
Is that money we're paying, or is that saying because we're using Assabet, we're not?
We won't be paying that. That's what the cost would be if we were
Okay.
going to go outside and hire a company to come in and do it.
Okay. All right. Do your ALS thing, and then I'll talk to you about the fire equipment over in the buildings.
Okay. The 2 things I wanted to go over with you real quick was, before I got into the ALS, was I know the church in the center of town has a structural issue that was kind of brought to our attention at the fire department. And I know there's a makeshift safety zone that's been set up by somebody from the church. One of the things, and the reason why I'm sitting before you, is the political football that goes with it. From a fire safety standpoint, it's a building that we would look at putting a red X on for fire crews not to enter the building unless there was a life safety issue. And I know people look at that red X as being something that's horrendous, and however, one of the things that I'm concerned about is my crews kind of know not to go inside the building type of thing because there's a structural issue. If we're tied up on a call, my mutual aid crews do not know that unless there is a red X that's on the building. So I am probably going to approach the church. The red X's are removable, so when the repairs are made, it can come off. The last thing I would want to have happen is have a fire in the building that a firefighter enters trying to make a save to knock the fire down, and that crashes down on them and kills them. And that's where my concern comes in. And I understand the political ramifications that go with a red X being in the middle of town on a historic building, but the safety of the firefighters is something that I want to make sure is upkept. So I want you guys to be aware of that for any of the pushback that may come from that, but that's kind of the direction that I'm going with. And again, it's something that will be removed when the building is repaired and it's safe to go into.
What about the netting that's around that? I mean, you know as well as I that I can just push it down and walk over it.
Yep.
So are they under any obligation to have a more secure fence around there?
Not from a fire code standpoint, but I'm not sure from a building code if they're required to. And I'll be 100% honest with you, I'm not sure what the safety issue is with the construction, only because I haven't actually gotten in to talk to anybody about it, but that's something I'll research to find out and can report back to you. I'll even follow up with Rich on that just to say, are we covered liability-wise, or do we need to do something different to protect the public?
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Not a problem. And then with the first aid / CPR classes, that was one of the things. I have had some people that have asked if that's anything that we'd ever do. And I have 4 people that are actually certified to teach CPR. And we can take a look at the first aid class. And I guess my question is from your standpoint, obviously there's a little bit of cost that goes into that with CPR cards and with doing the class, just to pay the staff to be there. The one thing I can do is I can actually, just charge people and have them do that way. Or
Recording in progress.
I can look at Denny.
What's happening?
Well,
I think we just disconnected so it needs to mute, no?
So do you want us to log out of Zoom? Should we log out of Zoom?
Here comes
It's
Patrick. So we need to log off. Okay.
Okay.
Log off?
I'm promoting you, Roger.
You're out. Sorry about that for technical difficulties. Kristen, you out?
My phone guest.
Recording in progress.
All right, you gotta get out.
I'm out. I'm not in the Zoom.
Oh, you're not? Oh. Perfect.
Is it me? Was it me?
No, it was me.
Oh.
Shocking.
Roger,
Okay,
we're-
sorry about that.
We're watching
no, that's
Roger.
okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, now we're watching Roger.
Just moved out of the way.
Okay. So, CPR costs.
Yep. So one of the things I can do is I can look at absorbing that into my budget, but there might be an increase with my budget that comes with that, depending on, and I don't know how often we do the classes. My thought was to try to schedule one once a month. And my thought was, if you're a Berlin resident, then it doesn't cost you anything. If you will, we absorb that. But if you're not from Berlin, if you're from a surrounding community or a company type of thing, that would be something we'd charge for the class. But I wanted to see what your thoughts were on that, where you guys kind of wanted me to go on that.
What
And
is the Red Cross? Do they charge for classes?
They do, I believe, and it's the same type of thing. It's like we have to pay $15 for every card that we get printed off, or certification that we do for each person, whether it's if you will, if they just get the one emailed to them, or we actually print one off. And then they'll print to cover the cost. They'll charge to cover the cost of personnel if they have volunteers, or if they have people that they're paying to actually do it.
Through the chair.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask if you might consider either at cost or not at cost, opening that up to town employees, because I could see there being a benefit for town employees to have that training as well.
Oh yeah, I would. To be honest with you, I think the town employees we can do that. We can take care of that. This is more of the, if you will, the Saturday or Sunday classes, or an evening class that would be done for, if you will, the residents that are working Monday through Friday that wouldn't be able to come in and do the class. Trying to accommodate their schedule and stuff. And obviously, from a standpoint of public safety, having people that know CPR is really highly important to be a heart saver community.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
What's the age that it would start at? Is there an age?
For learning CPR?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I would because I know we talk about doing classes in education for those that are babysitting and stuff, so that they have that general knowledge. So I'd probably say teenagers would probably be a good starting point.
Like 12 or?
Yeah.
Babysitting at 12, yeah.
Yep.
Babysitting at
Yeah.
12.
Especially your siblings.
Yep. I'll find out if there's actually, I don't know that there's a requirement on like an age, like they won't give the certification to anybody under the age of 12. I don't know that actually exists, but let me find out.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could just ask other communities what they've done for that,
Yep.
and then before we schedule, I'm sure we can put something out on the town just to check interest, because I would hate to put everything together and then people are like, eh.
Yeah. Nope.
Okay.
All right, yeah, I can do that. So, ALS, actually.
Thank you.
One for you, and there was one for Scott, which.
We'll hang on to it.
Yeah. So what you have before you is a quick summary of kind of like ALS and what the costs might actually be as we move forward. On that first page is a quick snapshot of what equipment we may actually need for the ambulance. And it includes a lot of the equipment that goes with that, with the breathing tubes, the cardiac monitors, the ventilators and stuff that we carry on the ambulance. And the cost for that comes out to just about $90,000. And that's a one-time fee for that would outfit the ambulance. And obviously we have 2 ambulances. So on page 2, I kind of wrote out the additional costs of a paramedic training program and the different licenses that I could think of, and the contract that we'd have to have with a medical control physician and stuff, and kind of listed that out. And one of the things I put down there was under new staff, I put 2 new paramedics. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to find per diem paramedics or part-time paramedics to come work for us. So I kind of wrote that out and gave you a total on that, which would be about $316,000 for that. And then beneath that is the potential revenue of what we could actually, see. Last year we made about $313,000 that we brought in from billing and stuff, and that's just a snapshot of 1 year. I'd have to do an average over the couple years to get a true number, but it just gives you last year's number. What we actually paid out for the intercepts, we paid $20,997 to the town of Bolton, and we paid $21,380 to Patriot Ambulance, which that would be money that we'd actually save where we wouldn't be paying that out. So that would come to the total of $355,000 that we would actually have for revenue. And for the expenses, basically underneath the next column, it breaks it down into 4 years. So year 1, the total, if you will, expenses would be $406,000, and that would be for all the training, that would be for all the equipment and everything that goes with it. And I put that for year 2 because that would also be what we'd have to pay to upgrade the second ambulance to an ALS unit as well. After that, it would fall to basically $252,800 to keep that running. And what that would give us, there's a little bit of a buffer in there. I kept some of the training money in there over the 2 years as well. With hiring the 2 new paramedics, my hope would be to have a full-time person 24/7 at the station that was certified as a paramedic, and we'd have to make sure there was always a paramedic in the station that was on duty available for calls. And we'd staff the rest with, if you will, a per diem or a call firefighter. And we would probably see an increase in the amount of ALS calls we had, because there's a lot of calls we do now at the BLS level where we don't have a paramedic available, but we would be able to do ALS, procedures on that, like starting an IV and giving some fluid boluses. And those, so we would see that flip where I wrote down that right now we have 77% of our calls are BLS and 23 are ALS. The standard would see to probably see that flip to a 60% ALS calls and 40% BLS calls. And what that means is that you would see with that increase in what you can bill for ALS, you'd see additional revenue coming in from that. Back in the MRI project, they anticipated a 21% increase in ALS revenue from billing if we had gone with, if we did our own ALS service. So it just gives you that snapshot of what the cost could potentially be. The costs that I put in here are kind of on the high side, and the revenues I think are going to end up being on the low side afterwards, but it just gives you what it would look like. One of the other things that I've done is I've talked in the area, and I'm a big proponent of regionalization. I think it's the only way we're going to succeed in an ALS program. I will say I'm one of the few chiefs in the area that is probably in favor of that, but that seems to be changing as people are leaving, retiring, and that type of thing, and there's a change in the tide of looking at it from that perspective. And I think right now with the shortage we have in paramedics across the state, that's something that's going to be talked about a lot more. So looking at these total costs, sharing it on a regional basis, will be a little bit, I think, easier to manage. And that's where I'm trying to go with some of the neighboring departments.
Yeah, I mean, I know the town tried regionalization a couple of years ago, and it fell flat. But I think that it was due to lack of communication, lack of real information that was out there, town versus town. But if you can start to get the news out, because pretty much it's like, okay, we can regionalize, or otherwise, Berlin, come up with $1.4 million if you want to go with the ALS. And that's just a guess right now, and that's not including inflation.
Yep. And you're 100% right. It's over the last 3 years, unfortunately, with COVID and the medical devices and stuff, prices have gone up through the roof.
Because they can.
Yep. And yeah, I don't see the prices coming back down. They're going to continue. They'll just moderate more and go up at the 3 to 5% range type of thing. But they're always going to go up every year. So that inflation is just going to make it cost more and more. And we're seeing that trend right now with paramedics. They can pick and choose where they want to work because there are so few of them out there. The demand is coming pretty high.
Well, I mean, I appreciate this. I know that this kind of went on hiatus a little bit with Ken leaving and then
Mhm.
coming on board. So it's just nice to see the numbers so that when people say ALS is the way to go,
Yep.
we can say, let's chat.
Check. Yep.
Let's
Yep.
have a chat.
Exactly. I think right now, right now we're in a position where ALS is kind of covered, where we have that intercept coming in. Obviously, if we had any ALS providers that are in-house, it's much better for any of the citizens of Berlin. But one of the things that I want to do is kind of get to that point that we always have somebody in the station to at least get a BLS crew to the scene to start care, and the paramedics coming in behind them are going to be able to, that'll reap huge benefits for us as well. We're not at a point where we can't get ALS. I do foresee if things don't change in the region, we are going to run into that problem in the future where there just aren't going to be ALS units available because there's not going to be enough of them to cover the calls. So, I'll be looking at some other options for that. They have, when it comes to pre-hospital certifications, EMT is the basic level, paramedic is the highest level. In the middle is called advanced EMT or AEMT, and they provide some of the care that paramedics can do with some basic medications and some IV fluids, and they're able to do that. We can charge at the ALS level for that as well. That can kind of be a buffer between the paramedics and the EMTs to help the paramedics be available for the critical calls that they need to be doing. My hope is to get OEMS here in Massachusetts to kind of support that. They recognize it, but they don't support the training for that in the state. And that's something I'm hoping to change by trying to come up with a program that we can do here to have our staff trained at the AEMT level. It's a couple hundred hours for the class for the staff to take versus 1,000+ hours for a paramedic. And I think that would be a great buffer for us to be able to offer ALS without breaking the bank for us, because a lot of what's on here for costs would not exist.
And the thing is, too, is that if you're a neighboring town and you have ALS, you can basically charge whatever you want.
Mhm.
Hey, we'll come. It's $2,000 a ride. It's
Yes.
$2,500 a ride. So you're at their, again,
Yes.
patient safety. You gotta move.
Well, right now we pay, I believe, Bolton is $325. I believe Patriot is $475, and Northborough charges $1,200 for an ALS intercept. So we do try not to use Northborough because of the cost, because we would lose money at that point. And this isn't about money; it's about saving lives. And I've told my crew, if you need to call for a paramedic from Northborough, that's exactly what you do. We'll worry about the money later, but to your point, you can charge whatever you want for it.
Well, the problem is too, is that, it's gonna fall back on the person for their insurance. And if, we're getting charged $1,200 a call and you're on insert insurance here that pays $300, now you've got an unfair cost. Yes, you saved insert person's name here, life, but.
Correct. And that cost does come out on us because we pay for the ALS service. We bill for ALS, but on average, we're seeing anywhere between $400 to $600 is usually what we, for every transport we do, that's about what we're going to get on average for a collection rate, even including the ALS calls. So when you're paying $1,200 on a call, you've just lost $600.
So what do you see as next steps if we were interested in doing something about this?
I think trying to do something regional.
Right.
And I think that solution is going to be a multi-year solution to come up with it, where if you had towns that were interested in doing it, it's getting the stakeholders together to have that discussion and to kind of look at what it looks like. And I think, unfortunately, one of the things, it's like, where does that money go? Who collects the money and who gets to pocket that? Because if you have 3 towns that are in, all 3 towns need to benefit from that to pay for the ALS equipment, the BLS equipment, the staffing, whether you're staffing for BLS calls or ALS calls, you have to try to cover it all. So it takes that big schedule basically to put down and start putting out some benchmarks to meet and
see how it would work. And,
right.
I mean, do you see this as something that Neshoba Valley Regional would maybe get involved in?
I think from a standpoint of being that that's the region we're in right now, I think it's a good starting point with some of the chiefs. Like I've had the discussion with Bolton and with Lancaster, kind of about doing this, and the idea is it's feasible. They aren't opposed to it. But again, it's trying to spearhead that, and not only do you have, if you will, the fire chiefs, which sometimes we can be very protective of our communities, and it's my community, I'm not sharing. But then you also have the town administrators and the town managers, and then you have the select boards, and you've got to get everybody on board, and then you have to go the other way too, because you have to get all your firefighters on board with it, because they get very territorial too. So a lot of personalities that exist in this. So there's a lot of information that needs to be shared. And I can foresee just having this conversation in an open meeting that within a week I'll have backlash from other departments or other people that are going to be like, what are you doing? What are you bringing up? But it's the conversation that needs to take place. This is the only way we're going to get change. And the unfortunate thing is it's about Mr. and Mrs. Smith and the services that they need to have, whether they're in Berlin, whether they're in Bolton, or they're in Clinton. It's like it should be the best service for them. And that goes for fire and EMS. So it's a matter of trying to figure out what the best way to do that is. And it's going to take some time and a lot of meetings and a lot of ideas thrown at the wall to see what's going to stick.
But are you personally feeling as though you wanted to move forward with something like that, or
Yes.
just no thank you?
No, I'm in favor of doing it, and I feel a lot more comfortable now than I did, say, 8 months ago when I was talking to some of the area chiefs and stuff, just because as dynamics change, I think there's more momentum behind it, and there's more people that are looking at it and saying, okay, we need to do something different, especially when you look at the hospitals that are closing, some of the ambulance services that are no longer in business type of thing. The options that are there are slowly getting less and less.
Yeah.
So
Are we getting impacted because of the Stewart closing for Neshoba?
Not for us for transports. I think what we're seeing is we've noticed the increase in the wait times at the local emergency rooms that now have, most of the time we're going there and stuff, and the beds are pretty much occupied, and you're waiting for an opening to be able to move a patient over. So what happens is when our crew goes in, they have to stay with that patient until they can transfer care over to one of their beds. So I'm seeing and it's not anything I can track as of yet, but I've noticed an uptick in the amount of time that they're out of service at the hospital, which will affect the next call coming in.
All right. The last question I had for you, not ALS again, I appreciate everything. We had started talking about the knot and the
Yes.
other truck
Yep.
that is in there. And you had mentioned that there is some discussion with, the fire association. Is it a Berlin group, for lack of a better word? And if those trucks were going to be fixed, who pays for it?
If you will, the muster truck that we have, that's owned by the town. So that'll be one that once I get it out of the building and stuff and can decide whether we want to put it on municipal or if we want to do an auction of it of some kind, or have, however we decide to get rid of that truck, that's for us to decide. The not truck is and as you've pointed out, there's kind of some questionable paperwork that's out there. Exactly. Mm-hmm. The individual that I know is interested. One of the things he's a retired fire chief, and he'll restore the fire truck. And basically, what he's looking at doing is he has fun kind of restoring it, and it gives him something to do. And the way that he's worked before, one of the other departments I was associated with, he took the truck and he restored it, and he kept all the receipts from it. And his deal was, I will sell it back to you for the exact cost of what it cost me, not with labor, just with parts and materials, to put the truck to being restored. And the only requirement that he asks is when the truck goes back is that you have a place, a bay to put it in, or some place to store it inside where it's not going to rot and fall apart.
Kind of like now.
Yeah. So he's just finishing up another truck, and that'll probably be going in the next, if you will, 4 to 6 months. So he was kind of like, well, you know what, that might be. He actually looked at the truck. He's like, and he was like, it's not as bad as you described it. He was like, so it might be something I'm interested in. So I'm gonna follow back up on it with him. And what that would come down to is that would be if you will, if the association owned it, they'd have the right of first refusal to it. and/or the town, meaning if the association was like, we don't have the money, we don't have the funds for it, the town could choose to buy it at that point, and keep it back, and he would basically restore it, so it says Berlin on the side of it, and he would try to match it to whatever color it was, whatever the graphics were the day it came out of the factory.
So do we know who owns the knot?
No. The
No, we do not.
Yeah, I have seen paperwork that does say that it goes back to the family that donated it, and it's kind of like alluded to in a letter. There's no clear-cut piece of paper that says this is what it is.
And I found the same thing for the old fire station, that it was donated by blah, blah, blah. And
Yep.
you hear through the rumor mill, oh, if they don't want, the town doesn't want it, it's gonna go back to, but no one could produce a piece of paper that
Mhm.
said,
Correct.
here.
Yep.
So,
And buildings are a little simpler than vehicles because it would have to be on the deed
yeah.
if it's to revert back to a previous owner.
Well, I suppose all we can do with the knot is just spread the word far
Yep.
and wide if we ever come to that decision to say, if you have something, come to us. If not,
Yep.
it's leaving on the back of a trailer out of town.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna put it in the back page of the item or something.
That's right. eBay. There was a fire engine that I think went up for sale on eBay a while ago. The town put it up and sold it.
Mm.
Cool. Thank you, gentlemen. As
You're welcome.
always,
Keep us
pleasure.
posted on, what's going on with ALS,
You got it.
and, if anything is happening.
I will let you know. I'll keep you updated.
Okay, thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so next up on our agenda was the 1870 committee discussion, but we are going to pass over that and drop it on our 30th agenda. So next up is a historical commission discussion. So I'm going to assume, June, you're probably going to have to open your meeting since there's 4 of you here so that you can have some type of discussion. Okay, so whoever wants to chat, come on down to the front.
You can pull up 2 chairs if you want. Can all fit around.
I don't know. Where the bad kids go. The naughty kids go in the middle.
So you want to open your meeting?
Yes, this is an open meeting of the Berlin Historical Commission on Monday night, September 16th.
Mhm.
And what is the time?
7:20.
At 7:20 PM. And 4 of us are present. Ellie Bergen.
Here.
Janet Woodward, Lucy Ayers.
Here.
And myself,
Okay.
June Miller.
June Miller.
And we are subject to being recorded.
Yes, you are. Well done. Good
In
job.
fact, you currently are.
Mhm. We had a few technical difficulties, but yes, you are. So, what would you like to chat with us about?
Well, we have, we are facing difficult storage issues. And the demolition of the Red Fire Station, if that should happen, impacts us greatly. Because we don't have any more options for storage. And even with deaccessioning thoughtfully, we're in a bind. So we're kind of looking to you to help us find other options for storage, which I know is just as difficult for you as it is for us.
Well, and I'm not going to speak for you, or Kristen, or anybody else. I'm not as concerned about the old fire station because I'm concerned, but we've got a long way to go. We're looking at potential bids to tear it down, what's in there. Boy Scouts will talk to chiefs about getting in there to inventory their stuff. Lions, I know, has pulled their stuff out of it. That one's going to take a while. What I'm more concerned about is the stuff up at the top of this building that absolutely has to go by the end of the month, because as you heard Chief McQuillan talk about Assabette's getting ready to come in, and they're gonna need space to put their items. So your items have to move, absolutely have to move. I know that we had sent, or Kristen had sent an email out on our bequest last April to move the items out of there because of the safety. The items weren't moved, and unfortunately, bad on us, we never followed up on it. As a result, we keep finding additional items up there. So, under the direction of Kristen, a lock was changed and put on that door so that there is no entry without an escort by Chief Shatner, Chief McQuillan, Fred, or Kristen, to prevent items just mysteriously showing up at the top of the building. We had put an item in place to say, if you're bringing items in, you need to seek written approval.
Yep.
That was just walked right through as evidenced by cabinets showing up across the hall that were loaded with nuts. And it wasn't until Kristen sent an email out that said, hey, whoever this is, get rid of it because we're tossing it, and lo and behold, a member of your committee that is not here tonight fessed up and said, oh, I just dropped them off. So the firehouse, I'm okay because we don't have anything.
For now.
For now. It's that stuff that needs to go in 2 weeks.
Would we be allowed to put it in the fire station?
Nope. Because right now, the fire station, the reason why the fire station was also secured is that more items were showing up there as well. Mr. Hanks, our building commissioner, has chimed in. He does not want people in that building. That staircase is not safe. You can't get out that other set of stairs. I'm not quite sure anyone would want to step on those stairs on the outside of the building. That door is warped. So that's pretty much why we're not letting the Boy Scouts up there to get their stuff without an escort. So no, we can't shift it. We can't shift sand from one building to another. And I know that you've been working on to try and clean it, because I'm gonna be very honest with all of you. There's stuff up there that should not be up there. There is stuff up there that is not Berlin related, that is Martha's Vineyard stamped on it. It should not be there. There are broken things up there. There are 12 doors, I think, at my last count, that are up there. That stuff has got to go.
Yeah, there are a lot of like pink painted cinder blocks. I know when, I was taken up there on a tour, I saw a map of Cape Cod. There are just definitely things up there that I don't think have a nexus to Berlin that certainly can be looked at. And I think as custodians of the building, as the select board are custodians of the building, and I'm tasked with the day-to-day making sure everything works. One of the problems we ran into is we changed the locks up on the 3rd floor, and we found a screwdriver mark that somebody had jimmied the door, and more things were added. So we actually had to deadbolt the door. So, and there's just unfortunately been a lack of respect for the buildings and what's been being put in. And I just don't think that adding more space is the answer. I think that things do actually really genuinely need to be looked at and pared down. And my concern, however, is that if things start showing up in other places, this is problematic. I mean, we do have a building facilities person now who is here 40 hours a week, and things do get noticed because we have somebody paying attention, and we are going to have to start getting rid of things if they start showing up in places that they're not supposed to without permission, because we don't allow anyone to do that. So we have to just make the rules the same for everybody is really what it comes down to.
And unfortunately, at the town hall, there are items that were stored under the stage that should not have been there, that the former fire inspector guy found, removed, and screwed those doors shut so that no material could go up there that wasn't supposed to be there. So,
Under the platform?
under the stage on the second floor. So yeah, you can't, all those doors, which would be nice to like store chairs and tables, you can't get in there because they're dead bolted shut, they're screwed shut so that no one can get in. So, again, I'm not concerned right now about the fire station. I'm more concerned about that because, as you heard, Assabette's getting ready to roll, and they have to come up to a blank space and not one that we can push your stuff aside and bring theirs in there. I mean,
and I think that's it's not our stuff. It's
historical.
the town stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe I feel like sometimes we get punished for stuff that, it's a town collection that we've amassed to ensure that future people of the town understand what's been going on and how the town developed. So I think it's a town issue, and so if we need to deaccession stuff, I think to Chris's point, we do need to look at the nexus of it, but to be cautious, because if you get rid of some of this stuff, there's no way to get it back.
Right.
So it has to be thoughtful, it has to be well-intentioned, and it has to be, I want to say, meticulously documented, because you can't recreate something once you've trashed it.
Understood, but my point is that email from Kristen went out April 23rd or April 05 of 2023. So there's been a year and a half that Historical has had to do something about those items down the hall. And the only thing that has happened to those items is that more have shown up.
Well, I think, and the problem is, we have burdened our Bullet House collection on the Wheelers. That's not really town storage either.
Correct.
And when the Bullet House becomes functional again, we can't move everything back in there because we want it to be a working museum, not a storage warehouse. So it does get problematic, and as people do point out, the collection is going to get larger because time goes on. So it's like, do you get rid of the stuff from the 18th century so that you can put in 20th century stuff, or do you say, I'm going to stop collecting as of 1900 and ignore everything past then? It gets kind of difficult. So I think it needs to be kind of a town solution to where we want to go with this.
Understood, and I had reached out to neighboring towns because I know that Berlin Historical is not in this by itself, that there are other towns. And the woman that I spoke with at Hudson had the same issue. They have no space. So someone will come in and say, here's an historical item, and walk away. What Hudson does is says, that's great. Show me it's a historical item. Prove to me the value and the worth that it's related to the town. Oh, I can't. Okay, thank you for coming. And they give it back, and out they go. She said they have a room of hats because people have just said, I've got a hat. Here you go, have a hat. So,
yeah, we went over to Northborough and talked to them about their deaccessioning, and we went to
Boylston.
West Boylston and talked to them about it too. So we all have
you're all in
the
the same
same
boat.
issues,
Yep.
yeah. But it doesn't mean that tomorrow something fabulous will come in that we say, we really, really, really want that. And what do we do with it?
Right.
Well, and I don't think it's about getting rid of anything that has historic value. I think everybody can appreciate and want to retain all of those items. We don't want those items trashed. We don't want them ending up on eBay and people going, or trying to get it back. I think that it's about, making sure, like I said, the nexus is there. And also I've noticed sometimes there's issues with multiples or large quantities of the same thing. And I think that could be pared down as well. So those were just two of the things that I have noticed. My former community, we had the same problem. The town historian had everything in his barn. And we finally got an old building, and we were paring down and trying to figure out what we could put in the 1700s building that finally, happened. But I think the problem is where we're at, we are slimming down on buildings because we have structural issues. We have cost issues where we'd have to put roofs and systems into these buildings, and just to use that for storage is problematic and not cost effective. So, we're not growing in terms of our numbers of facilities because the cost is just too cost prohibitive. So we have to look at the fact that we just don't have the space. And so how can we work together to figure out what we can do that's mutually beneficial, that works for you folks and help us, and maybe come up with some creative suggestions on your end as well, and, look at like what you said about the fire station, we can wait a little bit on.
Mhm.
But the upstairs, we're talking almost $500,000 of materials costs. That's going to take up some space. So that's really the issue that we're looking at right now.
And there's not a lot of space up there, because once you step
No.
past that platform, you step down, you're gonna be in Abby's office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what is the time frame for removing the articles from the
September
attic?
30th.
September 30th,
September 30th.
2
okay.
weeks.
So is there any place that we can at least temporarily store it until we have the time to go back to the fire station to see what can be deaccessioned?
No, because we're trying to, well, in my opinion, no, because we're trying to look at all the other buildings as to what to do with them as well. So we just can't have somebody come in and say, oh, Chris, can you give me an estimate on how to fix this? Oh, well, I'd love to, but I can't see in it because there's a bunch of stuff in front of it. So we just can't keep, again, we just can't keep moving stuff around, because we've got to do something with these buildings. We spent over $70,000 for an assessment, and that's probably my biggest craw, is that we have the information, we need to start doing something, stop sitting on it, just move along. So
Take care of the buildings.
yeah, I am not in favor of granting any more space.
Right. And we did send a reminder notification out on August 28th regarding moving those items out of the third floor space as well. So, because it had been a year and a half, and you're right, life got in the way, if you will.
Life got in the way, things happened, our bad, but still, that gave you a year and a half to do something. So unfortunately, we are at the point now truly of no return. We've got to take care of our fire, our police, our EMS, and I'm sorry, but you cannot convince me that historical items will ever take precedence over our public safety. Comments?
We
I would
need,
like to
we
think
need
that it's not an either or, but it's a both. I think-
Oh, I agree. I think it is both. But I think maybe it's going to have to be, we have not designated any particular building that can be used just for storage.
No.
For one reason is because we've got repairs that we need to make to certain buildings to allow people to go into it and store things there.
What
And
buildings will we have access to?
I'm sorry?
What buildings will we have access to? It will just be the Bullard House and the little
Curatorial building.
Curatorial building?
at
Yeah.
this point,
Yeah.
unless we, can think of something else different. We have a third member who may have liked to be a part of this conversation too.
Mhm.
He may have had some thoughts.
Sure. I guess one question I had is, the site that the Bullard House sits on, is it a joint site with 1870? I'm trying to remember the layout of the site, or is there any room near the curatorial building to either add a little bit on to that building? That's one thing I've kind of had in my head. Is there anything we could do with like an Assabet to add a little bit more space to the curatorial building? Because that's really where I think things should be. And I understand, to your point, if you're going to use the Bullard House as a museum, you can't have it stacked floor to ceiling with items, and you may have a rotating collection. So I'm just wondering if something could be done up there.
Is there a basement that's usable? No, I didn't think so.
It would have to be behind. It would have to be at the rear of the building.
Do we own that land?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
so.
there's not
A
a
little,
lot, but
yeah.
we do own some. Yeah.
Because doesn't it go up the hill
Yeah.
behind that?
Yeah.
So you're running into, that's Powder Hill.
Yeah, okay.
No, we have, we did go through the fire station, and we wrote down the things that we wanted to keep and wanted to deaccession, some of them anyway. And so we started that project with that building. Now, it's almost sounding to me like you're not as concerned about that building, and it's the one we've started with. But, so I'm just wondering,
But you could create space if there were things that you
yeah,
were intending
but
to.
one of the other questions
let
that's
go
hard
of.
for us is, so these are good, important pieces of furniture, a lot of them. Do we just take them to the dump and throw them away? The deaccessioning is two-part. It's deciding what you want to deaccession, which we have done some of already in that building. But then you've got this stuff, and so we need to have conversation with people who do this on a more regular basis than we do, and see if we can start moving some of that out. And then I think that would,
Well, my understanding
us
is that
all.
even if we move deaccession from the fire station, because that will be an eventuality, that we can't replace the deaccession items with the ones in the
Upstairs.
mechanical room.
right, we can't put anything else in, once they're out, I mean, they want it
Once
out,
they're out,
so.
they're out.
Right.
Yeah, but at least that would be step one, that we could say, okay, we've got
Well,
war room in the fire station, and we got rid of that stuff. And it's really hard, because some of that stuff is really important historical stuff. But if we have reached to the point where we have no place for it, we may have to bite the bullet.
well, right now, we need to have an appointment with Highway, I would guess, or whoever is willing to meet with us so that we have access to the mechanical room. That's what I call it, but I'm not sure that's what it is.
I call it the upstairs.
The upstairs.
If you
I mean,
reach
the other-
out to Fred, he can have, maybe Ken help you get in
Ken,
there.
okay.
But Fred, yeah, go through Fred. And I just want to say one more thing too. I don't think anybody's asking you to get rid of historic, valuable furniture. I mean, since I've started, I've seen things come in like stacks of agricultural magazines that don't have a nexus to Berlin. I've seen bottles of milk jugs that there's 150 milk, little like glass milk jugs. Why can't you save 2 or 3 of those as opposed to keeping 150 of them?
Those
So-
are in the mechanical room?
No, those I have floated through the town hall as donations in the time that I've been here. So I don't know where
See,
they
we don't know
landed.
that that's, if we're not working in the town hall, we don't know that that's even happened.
Well, it
And
was
so-
brought in by another member of the commission.
Oh,
So
well, we still don't know.
yeah. So I think those are the kinds of things we're talking about. We're not talking about getting rid of valuable historic town assets or furniture. I mean, literally one day there the gentleman on your committee was carrying 150 small glass milk bottles and saying these are historic items. And I said, well, all of them? Do you have to keep them all? I get that you want some, and I totally understand. And then, there was a discussion about cutting out the weather out of these agricultural magazines to match out what the seasons were at the time of year when farming was happening. But it's a stack of magazines this tall that all I could think of was it might be a fire hazard. That's the kind of stuff. I say that not to sound rude, but so that you understand that there's an appreciation and an understanding for the important items that need to be there. And I think that the board would support that as well. It's really just that there are, I genuinely believe, extraneous items that don't need to be there or don't need to be there in that quantity.
Now, maybe we've already discussed this, but which building or space in a building is it most important to empty out first?
Up here.
Up here, the town offices.
Yep. The town offices, because Assabet will be coming in to start to build out the bunkhouse for public safety.
Yeah.
So that area
Town
has to be
offices
clean.
is
Here.
Above the,
This
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
building,
yeah.
you go up the
Yeah.
stairs and
By the
there's a
elevator.
door right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that.
Right.
Have you been there?
So
Yes,
right to
I
the,
have been
yeah,
there.
right to the right of the elevator, there's a small
Yeah.
ramp, and then there's another door. And then you go in, and there's a very small platform, probably no bigger than this table. And if you step over that platform, you're
Yeah.
going right
Yeah.
through to the office to the admin.
So,
Yeah.
so.
And it's up against the mechanical systems too, which
Yeah.
is not the greatest
My
idea.
memory is that some of the larger items are
You
in
are
there.
correct.
And the
So,
washing machines.
You
yeah,
are
the
correct.
washing machines,
Yep.
yeah. And so, I'm trying to think, if we're gonna get that thing cleared out by
The third
2
second.
weeks.
then, we gotta figure out a place to put it. And the other thing that we haven't,
Some things are gonna have to go.
yeah, well, that's one place you put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
So when we decide on these items that are deaccession, obviously there's a process. I can remember that you had mentioned things that we could do with it. At one point you said we could donate it to the transfer station.
That's generally the easiest path, is to take it to the transfer station, because then that's a, public disposal. If the value is under $10,000, I can authorize, what I do is I deem it as surplus, and then I can authorize the disposal of it, but it has to be disposed in a either through an auction, like a public auction or yard sale, or you can take it to the transfer station because the public has access to that where they could pick up items from there if they wanted to.
Let people know in town
Yeah.
if you're
Oh,
going
that we're
to be,
gonna be there.
that they're going to be there.
Right, right. Or, do you have a yard sale? I mean, I believe you had one right around the time I started.
So if we have a yard
Society.
sale,
Mhm.
is there anything, we can just go ahead and say, we're having a yard sale? Do we have to go through, file any particular paperwork on this besides?
Am I
the
right that it would
deaccession?
have to be the society that would do that? I mean, that's a
Well,
technical.
it's town property. It's town property, so.
Oh, this is a
But if
little.
we're selling it?
This is a little different. When we had our vintage sale, we had items that were actually owned by the town, and they were segregated from the rest of the things that were available.
Okay.
And we kept that money separately that we took in. It was a donation for everything. We didn't put a price on anything, but we actually accumulated about $22 for the things that were owned by the town.
Okay.
That had been in the Bullard House. And I think we still technically have that money because the current treasurer didn't want to deal with it.
So let me do a little looking into that, because the town, let me look into it a little bit and figure out the mechanism for that going forward, because there's a difference between a historical society which can fundraise and obviously the commission which can't fundraise. So typically if you sell any town property, those proceeds go back to the general fund.
Yeah.
So let me just do a little digging on that one for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some of the yard sales that have happened before have been through the society, not through the commission.
But couldn't you do it on behalf of the commission?
Nah, it gets a little tricky because it depends on who owns it.
That was sold
Yeah.
by
Oh.
the society was not town property.
Right.
But if the commission sells it, then we're selling town property.
So
Ah.
could we donate it to the Historical Society and then have them sell it? I mean, if we can donate it to the transfer station.
You're moving it from one town entity to another and making it available to the public. So that's why the transfer station is a better option. But I'll ask the question.
Okay.
So I mean, I hate to come across as like the chair witch, but, unfortunately, we need to get going on that. The town authorized money, and we can't hold it up. You heard Chief McQuillan saying that if it went out to bid, it would be more than $2 million to do that, where we've got.
Is
Yeah, so-
someone gonna be willing to help us move it out of there?
Oh, probably. I mean, I'm not gonna speak
have,
for highway.
I
I don't know. Janet's got some like severe muscles under that. There you go. See,
All
she's
retired people here,
she's-
women.
she's down there
Yeah.
pulling those blueberries.
I'm not hauling down those washing machines by
Yeah.
myself.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Somehow they got up there. How they got up there, I don't know. We'll leave it at that.
Well,
but
it wasn't us.
yes, we
Yeah.
will not ask. Select
I'm
Board,
just
could you
asking
not
if
say
we
his
can
name?
have
How they
some
arrive,
muscle to
perhaps they
help
can
us
leave.
move it
Yes.
down.
No, we're
What
not going to
if
make
we were
you
to have something
like
that said
drag up Tim and James to
suggested
and have them
donation,
come up. I'm
because
sure
we can accept
fire could help. I'm
donations.
sure highway
See.
could help. It's a simple question to both Chief McQuillan and Fred.
So I have a question, and that is if we find that we're trying to meet the deadline that you named, if we find that we may have to move something that's of greater value out and into, say, the fire station, is that going to be very difficult to swallow, or is that something that you realize that we're going to have to start shuffling things around?
I would request, let me know your thoughts, that if you say, ooh, washing machine built in Berlin by Homer Wheeler, blah, 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 here's the document, we need to save this. If there was a letter that you could prove its worth to the town, I'd be open for at least a discussion to say, you can move it there, but we're gonna give you insert amount of days here. We're just not gonna through the town. So, I'd be open to that. I don't know what your thoughts are.
See, Today's the 16th.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what the timetable is as far as the old fire station. And because of the, I mean, if we do end up, one of the things we were talking about doing was demolishing it and then having the ambulance, not the ambulance, but the fire trucks leave through that direction to get out onto Central Street. I mean, it could be a while, but it's not gonna be forever.
Right.
I mean, and we just had to give Fred money, highway money, to go get a new blue tarp. Because, well, the one that was up there ripped, and guess what, it started leaking, so we had to fork over,
A
what,
blue tarp
$500
for the roof.
for him to get up there and put the roof up.
Didn't
Yeah.
we vote money at town meeting a year or two ago to have that roof replaced?
Yes.
Yes, but it does not make sense when you have a facility study that says the building is not cost effective to renovate, to put money into a roof. It's not a prudent use of town funds.
You've got holes in the wall, you've got holes in the ceiling, you've got
The
cracks
boiler
and
doesn't
vents.
work anymore.
Right, you have no oil, you have no water, you have no sewer. So to spend money to put on a roof of a building that's just gonna go, it's not really efficient.
Now, one of the things that we looked into early on was the whole notion of renting space. If you really have some valuable things that the town deserves to not have us just throw away. But there is no place to put them except in rented building. Is that, there's nothing that would stop us from doing that, right? Okay.
I don't believe
Because
so.
that may be our last resort for really valuable things.
I would have two questions on that. One would be where the funding would come from to pay for renting, and the second, we would want to make sure we have insurance on that space like we do for the items down at Village Power right now. And since they are town items, we can get insurance on the items even though they are in a non-town building, as we learned with the Village Power items. So I would just want to know about those two things.
Well, our job is to make that appointment with Ken via, well, the other way around.
We can help
Oh,
you
yeah.
with that, don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, Fred, just reach out to Fred, and Fred will.
Fred,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
This younger person works with Fred now.
Yeah,
Ken.
Fred kind of helps manage his workload, so the best thing is to reach out to Fred, and he can work with Ken.
And remind me what the deadline is for,
September 30th.
September 30th, which
and
is.
the idea
next.
is that they
They'll
would
be-
be involved with hauling the stuff out and throwing it away or
Well, they
taking it
helped,
to
they
a
certainly
facility.
helped us before, so.
Yeah.
I'm
You
sure-
know what, let me do this. Why don't I give Fred a call tomorrow and explain what the situation is and see, because I don't know what they're doing right now.
You're on my road.
Well, there you go, they're outside your house, so.
They're outside my house.
Looks like they're doing pretty good, though.
They are, they're moving their way up Lyman, so,
Yeah.
you
We're
know,
trying
to put in
to-
all the drainage. But I've got all highway there. I look out and there's Fred, Tommy, Ken, I saw, Chris, Adam. So I've got all of highway, like literally outside my kitchen window.
And we talked back, at least when I started, that the idea is to funnel highway work orders through the town administrator's office, because then it takes a
So
little
you
bit
don't
of
have
the
to look
pressure
out your
off
kitchen
Fred
window and yell
if
to
he
them.
can't say no.
Yeah, I bring them water. Okay. And maybe chief too, if
Which
Did-
chief?
McQuillan, see if there's any firefighters here on duty during the day, not on a call, that could go up there. I mean, I haven't been up there in a while since the lock got flipped over. And it's unfortunate, you know, that we've come to this, but I know that there was one point, I was heading to Clinton and for some reason came down this way and turned left to go to Clinton, and there was, a gentleman from your committee who had the door open and his trunk open to his car and was just walking stuff in, unbeknownst to any of us, after we had put out the request that if anyone was to move stuff into town buildings, we needed approval. I had done it a couple years ago, or last year, for Halloween costumes that were donated to me from a senior center in Bellingham, and I had asked the board permission to stick them in the closet under the stairs at the town hall, and they would be gone by a certain date. So even I don't get like special privileges to move stuff around. I had to follow. So,
And I know these discussions, at least about the old fire station, predate me. I mean, there's even emails going back to Margaret, because I took over her email. So when I search for things, sometimes those emails come up, so.
Yeah, we have, well, I'm not sure what the date was, but I created a spreadsheet that itemized everything that was in the red fire station. When was that?
I think you have a few more things in there now,
That was
though.
in January when I joined.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you were writing down a lot of the
Yeah.
information.
Well, that
yeah.
was after. I mean, that spreadsheet is older than that.
Mhm.
But maybe we updated it.
You had updated it.
So, just so I'm clear on this, the long-term goal is to have only the Bullard House and the
curatorial building.
curatorial building accessible to us. Everything else we probably have to go off-site to, because I've never, I mean, geez Louise, because, you know, even when you go to these places to visit other towns, they have more storage, and a lot of times it's tucked here, it's tucked up there. Well, that's what we found over in Northborough, that a lot of their storage was tucked into different places, but they had more space.
Town buildings?
They owned the building, though.
Yeah.
Historical owned the building.
Yeah,
Not the
right.
town.
It's private.
Yeah, that's
See,
the
and that's the
difference.
problem, I mean, because right now you've got stuff upstairs, you've
Yeah.
got stuff in the curatorial
Yeah.
building, you've got stuff at your place, you've got stuff at the old firehouse. That's there are other committees who
Yeah.
come to us and say, we need space, and we can't give
Right.
them any. So you've got, you've got the space that others want.
We're going to have to solve this in some way, and it may mean a lot of our money is going to have to go to rentals because to keep the valuable stuff, because that space, especially if we're going to have people using the building at the Bullard House itself as a learning environment, then that leaves us with that one little building, and that means that almost all of our collection is going to have to go. And I'm not exaggerating. That's a very small building. And so I know you guys would like to be able to go, your problem. I feel as though we are getting a huge problem dumped on us, and I don't know that you have any better solution for it than we do, because we're losing our collection, basically. I mean, I think that's a very small building.
The curatorial
The
building?
curatorial building.
Yes, it is.
And that's, you know, it's just impossible for us to have a collection if
Well,
that happens. So we have to really put our thinking caps on.
Well, we definitely have to look to the future, and we know that we will have additional items that will be valuable, and we will have no place to put them. But right now, we have to deal with the mechanical room.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
And,
that's most
But I
important.
think but we can't just look there. We have to look at the big picture in the long run. And we just did what I said is the big picture.
Is there a process that the commission uses when someone wants to donate? Do they come to the commission?
No.
Do they give it to one person?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it needs to be a process where it goes to all of you. You take a vote whether to accept it or
I mean, you
not.
don't want my hat? You don't want my collection of hats like the poor lady in Hudson has?
Well, and the other thing is we have to all be there when it arrives, and we can all share a point of view on
Or it has to
all
come
of
to a
us,
meeting.
not just one
Yeah.
person, all
Right.
of us.
Well, and I think, you know, like you said, until it's voted on by the commission, it doesn't get put in a town-owned building. I mean, that's one way to solve
Yeah.
that problem.
As long
That's
as
true.
we're aware that it, you know, where things are.
And I don't know, I know you've talked about, what is it called? You were going to write down everything you had.
Mhm.
Well, I
The
forget what it's
inventory.
called.
Oh, an inventory?
Inventory.
Well, I guess an inventory. It was called something else though,
Oh.
but anyway. And maybe criteria for what kinds of things you do want to keep that have to do with Berlin.
That we have done.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
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 but
It's
And
condition.
making sure that you're sticking
Yeah,
to.
condition relevance to the town.
Right.
Or if you can extrapolate locally to the town. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a Berlin, an item owned by a Berlin family, but definitely families and location,
Yeah,
condition, and as the CPA.
And numbers that we have of that
Yeah,
item.
Yeah,
How many
CPA
duplicates?
applications points out it's the benefit to the residents.
Well, you bring up CPA funds, which are interesting. I don't know what CPA funds can be used for when it comes to historic, only because it's something I haven't looked into.
Well, I think that
You
you said
can
you
use it
could.
for storage, but then the town would be responsible for maintaining the storage building. So,
And we
you
have no
can
storage.
build, say, a vault to store
Mm.
your paper documents, and the CPA will pay for that.
But what maintenance is there on a vault?
Well, you have to put.
It has to be in a building.
Right.
You can't have a vault sitting out in the middle of the street.
Well, no, I understand that, but if you were talking about the curatorial building itself, if there was a way to add a story to, I don't know, I'm talking off the cuff,
Yeah,
but.
I think if the curatorial building, adding on to that is a great idea. The problem is there's limited space.
Okay,
There's limited land. And, we look at the Bullard House, and once you extend the parking lot for the 1870 Town Hall, there's almost no backyard.
Yeah.
So it's not like you could put a storage building, a storage shed in the backyard either.
I mean, June, I did find your Excel sheet, which was dated 2022, and some of the items that you had put in there was a small pool table. Like,
Yes.
a Speed Champ red wagon. I like this one. Bobsled found on Turner Road. Toboggan with red paint. So, I mean, I think it's, some stuff like this that we question as, that there's 8 posts for display boards. The historical value is.
Well, it depends if they're displays that we use to display the historical items.
Yeah.
Then you would want
Yeah,
those.
they're pretty dated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We-
I mean, I think so. When I started looking at this, that was some of my questions as well. A baby crib.
Depends
Baby.
on- Could be a historical.
Well,
Who's
if
in there? Depends who's in there.
Oh, well.
Could have been me. No,
Well-
I was in the drawer.
And
My mother put me in
I
the
think your
drawer.
point is that there can be some very unusual old baby cribs. We don't know what we're talking about.
Correct, that's just
Or somebody's
it,
just
but
getting
is
rid of
it-
their crib.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's just it. Is
Yeah.
it just an old crib
Yeah.
that someone was cleaning out their attic and went,
Yeah.
but there is,
I'd have to relook at it.
Right,
Yeah.
and we have tried to put in place that the person who's bringing the item
Yep.
to offer it to us has to go through, we have to go through a series of steps with them. I don't know if we've ever put that into effect, but that is something we have
Yep.
talked about we should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and if it turns out that it's not a Berlin-specific item, is there a possibility that there could be interest from a private collector or another adjacent community? Not that they don't have the problem too, but do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if it turns out it has a specific nexus to Northborough, I have no problem kind of like pushing our problem off
But
a
the
little bit.
reality of that is that it takes us time
Sure.
to de-accession things and to find people who want them. And it's very clear to me that we're not getting any more time. And so it has to be done like overnight.
Well, at least just the items upstairs, which
Upstairs.
I don't think there's a huge amount of items upstairs. There's not that much
Okay,
space
so just
up
the
there.
items have those
Yeah.
items.
And then
Yeah.
keep working on the fire
yeah,
station.
focus on that, if you
Yeah.
could clear that space, and then come back and we can try and figure out what to do about that over there.
Yeah.
Did we finish our discussion on the buildings? I don't think we did.
No,
we-
that
we've
was
been
gonna
kind
be.
So
of-
we still
Yeah.
have some discussion to do
Yeah.
on the buildings, and
'Cause-
we'll probably wait till
Yeah.
our buddy's back.
Honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was gonna be my recommendation. Obviously, Scott's not here, and we are doing more with the facility study, so I
Yeah.
think we keep this in mind. You folks start to do some brainstorming, and we get back together and have some future
You'll
conversations.
get back to me with.
I will reach
with
out to Fred in
Fred's
the morning. Yep.
With Ken's availability.
I will do.
So I have one more question. So we have to be out of the attic by September 30th. And you said that we did have some more time for the fire, for the fire building. But is there a time frame that you want us out of there also?
Once we figure out.
Once we
what-
decide what we're doing with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna
we
take
have-
another meeting at least, and
At
then
least.
we'll have a better idea.
Right, some
Good.
rock, paper, scissors here at the table, because
so
we don't
when-
know what we're gonna do with the buildings, but I
So when we
mean,
want to go in there, we'll just have to come to you and get someone to open the doors for us?
Mhm.
So,
And be
Since we've been
escorted in.
yeah, there's 3
bad.
people that
Yeah.
have it,
Yeah.
the chiefs
Yeah.
and Fred.
Okay.
Frankly, I'm almost glad of that, because I always felt like I was gonna fall through if I went too far into that room.
Well, you're
Somehow
not
into the-
wrong. I do
Yeah.
have to say, I was given a tour there when I first started, and I was told after that I should not have gone up on the 2nd floor because that
This is
was
the
not
third?
necessarily safe, which I did not know. So, I don't want anything to happen to anybody,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's the important thing.
So,
Yeah,
yeah. No, we'll keep you posted, I mean, when we come to a decision what to do with the buildings. For me, it was easy to attack, those 2 buildings for me are low-hanging fruit. They're in horrible condition, it's gonna cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix them. They're on less than an acre of land, what are you gonna do with it? So, but still, we need costs, how much is it gonna take it
cost
down?
of demolition could be
What's in the
absorbent.
building, is there like little asbestos things in the building, is that gonna cost it
Right.
more, blah, 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 so we've got our work cut out for that, but.
right, and obviously that comes before the historical commission because it is a building of a certain age, so,
But
there's a
again-
process.
Right, but again, if there's anything in there that you wanna keep, then you have to justify the historical value with a town person or an event, and not say, hey, look, this is a really old piece of brick and I'm gonna keep it, so.
I'd like to mention the 2 pieces of equipment that Chief McQuillan.
You want them for your yard? Do you want them?
I don't, but there's an argument to be made for their preservation. I just want to put that out there. I see a lot of these things predate.
Yeah.
I've been in Berlin for 21 years, and that's a lot less than, these items.
Correct. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part, there
Yeah.
is some history behind that, but then again, if you spend, making up a dollar figure, $300,000 to fix it, where are you gonna put it? You can't put it outside, cause the weather's just gonna kill it, so, and is that 300,000, do we need to start looking at the upcoming budget season? And is
Just put
that
it in my
money
office.
going to, what,
Just
own
put it in
your
my
office?
You have plenty of room there.
I do.
It's the
Okay,
knot
correct.
and the muster.
Yes.
Yeah, those 2.
And what are those 2 items?
They're fire
Trucks.
equipment.
Oh,
fire
equipment.
trucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one is in each building, because I don't know which one's which, but in the old rescue building, the Rudolph building, it's down below, and when we did the assessment, Polino needed to open the door so the guy could get in, and I think at one point it was even with the ground and the truck, and now it's like this. So it's settling
Yeah.
in to do that, and whoever drove it in, I applaud, because you can basically put a piece of paper between the side of the wall and that truck. So, getting it out, do you end up damaging it?
Maybe we wait until we take the building down.
Yeah, we take the building down around it.
And then-
Yeah, so, but that,
Yeah.
it's a true point, June, but where do you put it?
Well,
lot
it's
of-
just a recognition of, even if they were photographed.
Does
Oh,
Marty
yeah.
have pictures?
No, I've not seen either one
Really?
myself, so I can't vouch for their lack of preservation so far, but, if all that can be done is to document them visually, then that's something.
Yeah,
Which I would love to do, we've got enough space, you've got those side things coming up the hall to have a nice display of, here's the
Pictures.
pictures, here's the story behind it, last used, but that to me is Berlin history. A fire engine in a building that no one ever sees is not.
Yeah.
you know.
and it needs work, needs.
Well, that's the thing, how
Yeah.
how does this benefit the people? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. We appreciate you. Thank you. I know this wasn't going to be an easy discussion.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll let me know.
I sure will.
And I'll
I'll reach out to you.
rally the troops.
Okay.
And you should be
Well,
doing any of this
No,
work.
I was gonna say, you might wanna also do a little digging as to how they arrived there, because perhaps the folks that put them there might be able to help remove them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that
That's a handling
lunch
issue.
should not be exercised
Yeah, well,
hauling
I-
stuff
I-
up and down stairs.
I'm not,
Not you, Jim. I'm not talking about you.
Not any.
I'm not anxious to
No.
move things, but I do need to look at them.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll get you in the elevator, we'll get you up there, and then, we'll get you there.
Absolutely.
Before you go, can you close your meeting? It
Yes.
is 8:07.
Okay. A motion to adjourn?
So-
Seconded.
Okay, approved?
Aye.
Unanimously approved at 8:07. Okay.
Let's throw a couple things on as we go by.
Oh, yeah. we should-
Thank you,
All right,
ladies,
thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, rest of the items, we'll keep chugging through. So next up, we have 2 recreation appointments. One of a Megan Roselle, and Terry Radley, who Kristen and I had the opportunity to meet at the last rec meeting. They seem very, very wonderful people. One lives up at Highland Ridge, so that's nice. You're gonna get a different viewpoint of, I think when people think rec, they think kids. So you're gonna have, different views. And then Terry, I think it was Terry, who has like 3 young boys. So,
Yep.
good for her. Yay! But there were 2 resignations received by Recreation, so they need to fill those
And
spots.
those resignations were,
Bob Holmes
Okay.
and Mark,
Adams.
I almost called him Abrams, thank you.
Mark Adams, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So these 2 ladies will.
so I know not to call them up and say, hey,
No.
I hear you're,
Yeah. You can call Megan and Terry.
okay. So I'll make a motion to appoint Megan Rosseel and Terry Radley to the Recreation Committee.
I'll second it. No other discussion? Nope. And all those in favor? Aye. Excellent. Dee, they had asked when they would find out, Megan and Terry would find out, and I told them probably
Send them a
within
letter.
like the next
Probably
day.
the next day, yeah,
Cool.
probably tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, Kristen, over to you, the TA report.
Okay, it's a long one, so I'm gonna try to talk really fast and only talk about the really important stuff, like the budget, town meeting. So believe it or not, we are in budget season. On Wednesday, September 11th, the FinCom held their FY26 budget kickoff meeting and reviewed a draft calendar for the season. Their next meeting is scheduled for October 2nd, at which the calendar will be finalized and the budget packet that goes out to everyone will be discussed. We welcome everyone to get involved this year. As always, FinCom meetings are held at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday evenings here in this room, and we will be doing them hybrid this year. You can go to MyTownGov and get that link if you'd like to watch from the comfort and privacy of your own home. I'm working on confirming the date for the proposed, what I'm calling now, winter special town meeting, because it is in winter. I'm not sure if the December 9th date's going to work due to its proximity to Thanksgiving and the need to open voter registration so far now in advance of the meetings, which backs us up to Thanksgiving, which I think is kind of cruel to make everyone come in the day after Thanksgiving and start voter registration. So talking to Eloise about options. I don't know if January is going to work because the census, she had said, kicks in January.
Push
So
it out a little bit?
well, that's what I was thinking. January pushing it out would make
No, I
sense
mean,
to
just
after
push
the
it out
holidays.
from December 6th to,
The 16th may work. It's just
Okay.
now we're getting close to
Holidays.
Hanukkah and Christmas, so it just kind of trying to sandwich it in between Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah is a little challenging, but we'll work on it. I should hopefully have a date for you at your next meeting. And capital request forms went out. Also, written notification to all employees regarding the start of biweekly pay has gone out. That will be effective November 18th. Also, residents will be notified next month in the very first edition of the new monthly town-wide version of the Powder House News that there will be a delay in issuing real estate tax bills for FY25, but that as soon as we have more information, we'll provide it on our website, including an updated mailing date as soon as we are able to. We have some exciting news with regard to transit. The Council on Aging Chair, Bob Blair, and I met with the administrators of both the Worcester Regional Transit Authority and the Metro West Regional Transit Authority to discuss gaps in transportation for Berlin residents, particularly in light of our proximity to Hudson and Marlborough, which fall under a different transit authority as they are in a different county. We discussed options about collaborating with other towns and possibly getting a van for ourselves from the WRTA, but in the interim, there is a transit connectivity grant through Mass DOT that would expand the MWRTA's Catch Connect program. It's a curb-to-curb micro-transit service, which currently operates in Hudson and Marlborough, so like a door-to-door service. They're talking about expanding it to Berlin residents. If we get the grant, it would go for 18 months, after which they'd look at ridership and usage and cost to determine if we would be able to continue the program. But there is no cost to the town, no obligation to continue the program afterwards. We participated in that grant application. I will talk about ARPA in a few minutes. Energy upgrades. We have been awarded a Green Communities grant for upgrades to our, what can only be described as malfunctioning or Frankenstein, to quote Tim Wysocki's, HVAC system here at the municipal offices in the amount of $213,074. So many, many thanks to Tim and the Energy Committee for helping us get that off the ground. We've also partnered with National Grid's Community Solutions Program to improve energy efficiency and sustainability for all National Grid customers in town. It is a free service and a rebate incentive program, which National Grid will provide us for 3 years, and they assist in an advisory capacity. They provide grant writing assistance as we work toward becoming a climate leader community, which is the next phase of the Green Communities process. They will work with us to improve energy efficiency in town-owned buildings by providing rebate incentives and on-billing repayment. For those of you who don't know what on-billing repayment is, it means that the savings that you gain from the energy-efficient upgrades are used to offset the cost of those upgrades. So there is no net additional cost to the town. So this partnership that we just entered into has already proven beneficial. National Grid is currently offering a 50% rebate on lighting upgrades with on-bill repayment, which we've been able to take advantage of for the municipal buildings, working with Guardian Energy. So we will be doing a lighting upgrade here at zero cost to the town, which is very exciting. Also working on a couple other potential grant opportunities to partner with community organizations to assist our low-income senior population in achieving savings on their bills. So much more to come on this. It's a really cool partnership that's free, and so really excited about it. And again, many thanks to Tim and the Energy Committee for helping to spearhead this effort. Also working on closing out the digital literacy program. The town has about $32,000 left in funding that has to be used by the end of the year and can be used for a wide variety of projects. Spoke to the state. They recommended we partner with the library, and not to my surprise at all, Victoria has come up with some phenomenal ideas, and we're going to be meeting with the state to see what we can do with the rest of that funding. Some of it is equipment and other things that could really benefit the library, and that's where a lot of our seniors go to access information. So we're excited about that. Now for the not so good news, South Street Bridge replacement, as we talked about at the last meeting, is unfortunately very delayed. We do have one positive update that I neglected to include in here. The project is under final review right now. They expect it to be done the week of 9/24, which is actually next week. So we should be getting clearance to go with the final design documents, but it does push it to most likely a summer 2025 project, which means the bridge will be closed for longer than we anticipated, and unfortunately we are at the mercy of the state. When it comes to personnel, we've posted the part-time recreation director, and we're in the process of reviewing applications received for the building maintenance operation position, and the personnel committee is slated to meet again later on this week to discuss a few other potential positions. So I will leave it at that.
Questions? I have 3. You can go.
Let's see, where am I?
Lot
So
going
I
on.
know that I had mentioned to you that there was a study done on the ridership of the COA van
Yes.
before the van was purchased, I believe. Or it may have been, I think it was before this one was purchased, because we used to have a used one that was in pretty
Correct.
tough shape. And finally, I think, bit the dust, and then we got this new one. So they did do a study. I didn't know whether you had found it.
I have not. I will
Okay.
reach out to Bob, and perhaps
Yeah,
he
Bob may
can
know.
go through the committee and see if he doesn't have it, if anybody else in the committee does.
I know that one of the things, the reasons why we went with our own van was because people were going in two different directions.
Right.
And also because they didn't know whether a lot of people would be able to change buses.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to be an issue.
So we could still use our van for special trips, and this micro transit program is this special kind of curb to curb, so they actually don't have to do a changing in van, like it's like a house pickup. It's an expensive program, which we may not be able to continue, but if we get the grant and we see where the need is now. But my understanding is we'd still be able to use the van if somebody had to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And we'd also have to have further discussions on how that would work with the WRTA, because we still are in Worcester County. So my understanding is we should still be able to access Worcester County services. This is just an additional service that we would get if
Right.
we get the grant. So
Right.
it would kind of
I
expand.
just didn't know, I wondered if you had found any information. I think
yeah.
maybe Bob
I'll talk to
was
Bob.
privy, I think it was actually George Pendergast who was the chair at the time, but he's gone.
Gotcha. I will reach out.
Let's see, what else was I gonna ask you? No, I don't think so. Oh, well, I think it's rather humorous that they wanna do light replacements in buildings.
We can't see you well enough.
Well, no, it's just that we've already done it in this building years ago, so there must be some different lights that they now wanna put in.
Believe it or not,
Different.
we did not do it completely in this building.
No, I'm talking about like when it was a school.
Oh, yeah, because now you're getting rid of, like, Ken's been going through and replacing with LEDs where he can, but there are some rooms that still have those old halogen,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
long ones, so it's getting
Right.
rid of that kind of thing.
And we've done replacement lights on the streets.
Oh, yeah.
We've done all those. So I just find it kind of humorous.
It
that
never
they're
ends.
Trying to do us a favor by replacing our lights again.
Well, they are significantly more energy efficient, and I think as the
Yes.
technology
I figure
improves.
it must be to do with the technology
Yeah.
of the light bulbs or something.
Exactly.
Just seems like I've heard this all before.
It's like deja vu.
I've been here too long, that's why. That's all I have.
Right. So I had three. The first one is pretty easy, on the bridge. Senator Kennedy and Representative Kilcoyne will be at 19 Carter tomorrow night
Yes.
at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow night. So I'm not saying that if you show up and you continually ask them, that they may have a little bit of extra muscle to give, but I think hearing from the residents in town to say, enough is enough, let's get this bridge moving, that maybe when they return to the State House the following day, they can work their magic. So, plug for them.
You might encourage residents to go to 19 Carter.
Yes, we do encourage residents to go and to
Yes.
share your voice and your frustration and your concerns with our state senator and representative.
And
I'll
they'll-
be there.
And they'll be there when?
They will be there tomorrow night at 19 Carter at 7 p.m.
Oh.
What do you mean you can't hear me? Do I have to lean in closer to the mic?
Oh, we lost sound?
Ah!
Oh, he can hear us, right? Roger, we lost
Yeah, but
sound.
maybe they'll run it, maybe they'll run it and tomorrow somebody will watch it.
All right, well, maybe can we put out like a,
Want to write it on a piece of paper and hold it up?
I'm totally fine with that. Here he comes.
I have sound, and it's coming in, and it's showing a green level
Oh, the folks apparently on Zoom cannot hear us.
And I went on Zoom and I could hear it, so.
Okay, so maybe it's just this person.
Okay,
I don't
Oh,
know.
all right. Well, in the event that person,
send her a text.
right, others can hear me, I encourage you to attend 19 Kata tomorrow night at 7 p.m. to talk to Representative Kilcoyne and Senator Kennedy and share your thoughts, concerns, voice your opinions. They represent us. We need to be heard.
On the bridge.
On the bridge
It's
and
taking
and
way too
whatever
long.
else is on your mind.
Right.
So, Kristen, a thought for you.
Yes.
Since we are in budget season, yay!
So excited.
So excited. And we do have 2 new superintendents
Yes,
at
we do.
Tohoto and Assabet. Would it behoove us to invite them, along with the school committee, to come earlier than when they're supposed to be like, hi, welcome to budget season. This is our expectation. Here is our timelines. Nothing else. So again, you remove the I didn't know
Funny you
factor.
should say that. It's already underway.
Okay, cool.
2 members of the FinCom have already met with the superintendent and it's an interim superintendent and
for
an
Tohoto.
interim finance director.
Yep.
For the Berlin-Boylston Regional School District. I am working on setting up a meeting with me and 2 other FinCom members, so we're
Okay.
getting a little know-how. And when I sent out the capital email, I sent a separate email outlining with the budget calendar and
Yep.
explaining the dates and explaining the difference between capital and operating and
Yep.
saying, hey, let's sit down and go over this.
Okay.
So we are underway and we are asking them to come December 11th before the FinCom. So that's already out there. And then they would come back in February with a firmer
Okay.
budget. And they have expressed willingness to get together as a larger group. And I said, I'd like to hear more about what your thoughts are on that, because we're open to that too.
Because, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, have you heard from the schools? They were going to hire someone to actually speak with us.
I have not
In
heard anything
Boylston?
on that. No.
I just thought about that, sorry.
Yeah, I'll mention it.
another
I never
consultant?
heard anything. The consultant, yeah.
Like well, of course
Okay.
they have to pay, but how to figure out what to distribute to the parties so that we can all come together at
Well,
town meeting.
And that actually leads into my second item, is that last year during budget season, there was lots of inaccurate information whizzing around the town.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's work, and I am putting up my hand, and I am happy to help if someone shows me. Can we come up with like a separate budget fund page? Maybe call it something probably a little bit more official than budget fund page, where we, and I know that FinCom, puts out the meetings, but I want people to be able to say, here is the PowerPoint presentation that was dropped off. We asked for a letter on blah, blah, blah. We received, insert commission here, they have a 35% increase. Oh my God, that's more than 2.5. Yes, but even if you do PEG math, when it's a little bit of number and you add a little bit of number, it's gonna give you a gigantic increase. So I want full transparency out there of pick any Berlin commission that we have that comes so that everyone can see it, because I don't know who has access to your master sheet.
Yep.
And even if people see it, there's 85 tabs across the bottom and people are like, I have zero idea what I'm looking at. So again, if we could put something out there that
Yep.
makes it abundantly clear.
I think we just need to concentrate especially on communication back and forth.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm saying if you have this page, then all that communication is out there. So people aren't going, well, I couldn't find blah, blah, blah. We can say, hey, go to the budget fund page and scroll down through, and you'll see on blah was sent to response of, no response of. Done.
Well, you're going to like this, I think. But first of all, no one thinks budgets are fun except for me and maybe you. So I just want to get that out there right away. So
I
I don't
think
know if
they're
I
fun-
can call it a
I-
fun page, but I'm with you on that because I like them.
Yes.
I have entered into, signed a proposal with a consulting group to rebuild our website. And
Okay.
the first question on the list is, can you design or offer a template for a budget website?
Yeah.
Because if we can beg, borrow, steal, use a great community's sample, set it up, and have them set it up for us, and then we just go in and bloop, populate it every time we have something going on. That is on the list. I also asked, and I talked to the FinCom about this, can we drop URL links into the agendas, which I don't know that my town Gov allows us to do because it's a little bit of an older system, but could we drop links to, like, when it's Fire's turn to present their budget? Could I put a link that if you
So they
click
go out
on
to-
it, Fire's budget shows up? So people like aren't just looking at this giant Google folder
Right.
with 500 budgets in it.
Right, so people see what we see, so they can,
Correct.
and again, it gets
I'm
rid
so
of that.
glad you two are so excited.
We are
about
super excited about budgets. June might get excited about budgets too. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out, June, like a
It's
little.
not that I'm,
Yeah.
it's, it's.
That's all mine. The
It's not
enthusiasm is all mine, all
Right,
right.
it's not that I'm super excited about budget season, because I know that that's when I have to like clip and dip more often, because my hair turns gray. What I want to get rid of is the miscommunication, blatant lies that just whiz through the town
Wow.
that people take as truth and run with it. So this way, you put it in an easy, accessible thing.
You can refer people to it.
No. Here you are. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I am more, because it's my idea, and I was always taught that if you bring something up, you better be willing to put some skin in the game. So if there's stuff to be done, I am more than happy to. Ding.
Awesome.
And I'll
Well,
take-
and I think to some extent, unfortunately, misinformation is always going to fly, and we have to be careful with the Facebook responding. But if we can just say, visit our website at
That is correct.
www, then there's no back and
That
forth,
is
which
correct.
shuts down that
Yep.
miscommunication too.
Yep.
So, or the, the back and forth, because the minute you say one thing, people take it the wrong way or what have you when you do Facebook. So I'm generally like don't put it on Facebook. But
Absolutely, but if there's something out there that, again, because that was some of the.
If you don't read it, you don't know.
I know, the kerfuffle that I heard of, that department got a 25% increase. It's because when you add $3 to it, it's a 25% increase.
Right. And there's
Because
also
it's a $6.10 budget.
Right. And there's non-taxpayer funds going into certain departments.
So that's why I'm saying is that we need to start being creative and get the message out there to people that this
Or
information
people
exists.
also need to go to the right source and ask questions.
I in total agreement with that, but people are going to take the path of least resistance, and I'm going to call you up and go, "Did you hear? Did you hear what
Well,
they
that's
just
how I
did?"
find out, because I don't look at Facebook.
So, something to talk about. All right, thank you. That's all I had. All right, skippy down. So, Kristen, you're kind of queued up on the ARPA projects.
I am. And just a couple quick things I want to say about ARPA, because we're still in a bit of a holding pattern. Thanks to my concern about stormwater compliance, which the plot thickens and just becomes more confusing, unfortunately. So I have finally, after 2 free advice calls, which were very helpful, to a stormwater consulting firm, I have reached out to Mass DEP, and they are going to confirm our compliance and help us if we are not in compliance. They do not want to throw the hammer at us. They can't speak for EPA, obviously, but they are willing to work with us and help us, and they appreciated us coming forward and just saying,
We didn't know.
we're not sure. Well, and it's more of a we're not sure, because we received a waiver in 2003, and then we found a letter that said, and they used to be 5-year permits. Now they're 10-year permits. So we knew we were covered by a waiver in 2003. In 2008, we needed to reapply. I don't have the documentation that shows we continued to reapply for that waiver. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So the first question is, I'm on a fact-finding mission to see if we redid what we needed to do, which it's very possible that we did. But if we didn't, the cost of stormwater compliance just goes up and up and up as the years go on. And I want to just leave that ARPA money for right now, just to be sure, in case we need to get somebody on board and just start getting up to speed, because we are in year 7 of this 10-year permit. And the very strange thing is, Berlin is listed on the EPA's website as being part of that permit, but we have no documents uploaded next to our name.
Could you give like the Reader's Digest for those here and watching, or who may watch, what are you talking about with stormwater?
So okay, there's something called an MS4 permit that EPA puts out every year that identifies rivers, streams, ponds, bodies of water that you have to basically show that you're not polluting them. So you have to show where your catch basins are running off to. If you have a sewer system, where those sewer systems are draining into. Oh yeah, well I'll do a memo at some point. How's that?
That's fine.
All right. So basically, it's all about not polluting bodies of water, particularly those that are used as drinking water or for animals, or, basically bodies of water. So the good news is all of our pipes, we don't have a sewer system, so that makes it easier for us right off the bat. Fred has confirmed, we've done some GIS mapping of our pipes, and none of them drain anywhere but into like fields and woods. They're not draining off into ponds or streams, so that's a really good sign. But that doesn't mean we still don't have to comply with the testing and reporting and all of that stuff.
You're waiting to find out if you can find any more information on whether we're in compliance.
Correct, and if we're
And
not,
that's
there
all.
will be a cost associated
Yes.
with getting in compliance.
But how long do you think this is going to take?
I should hear by Wednesday of this week, I was
Okay.
told by DEP.
All right, well then you'll have to let us know on the 30th.
I most
Yeah,
certainly will.
we'll just
Thank
plump it
you.
on the agenda. All right, so then the 31 and change that right now is funds remaining to be appropriated, we're just gonna sit on it.
Correct.
Okay.
And so there's a few things that are vying for that. As you know, there's a little bit of extra playground money. There's the HR training that we talked about. There is possibly, I'm forgetting the third one, sorry.
You have upstairs renovation listed on it.
As a possible, but there was a
Yeah.
third one, wasn't there? Oh, stormwater. Yeah, that was the one I'm talking about is the one I forgot. So we're gonna hold, but yeah, you've got $31,299.15 that is not appropriated at this time. The good news is I did add what the status was with a little
Yeah.
more detail, and we are moving on everything,
Yeah,
so.
it looks nice. Did you get any update on the revised quote for the playground equipment? Because I know that there was some question.
I did. I would like to share it with Julie, and I just got a response right before this meeting.
Okay, all right.
I will let you know.
Next meeting. All right. Coolio. Chris, any questions you have on APA?
No.
All right, all right. Next fun topic, to discuss the acquisition of parcels 6A and B at my favorite River Bridge, and talk about conservation restriction issues.
So I think we talked about this a fair bit at the last meeting. What I did was I reworked the memo to make it a request to the Conservation Commission to modify the restriction on the River Run parcel. So my question to you both, we are meeting with the Conservation Commission on Wednesday. I have not yet sent them this memo because I wanted you both to see it. If you're amenable to it, if you have any changes, let me know. If not, I will send it off first thing in the morning to the Concom chair. I tried to shorten it and make it as clear and concise as possible.
I mean, it's there. I honestly think that the main concern from conservation was if they overturn one, they have now kicked the door open and everyone else is gonna go running through
No,
to
they're not.
But I have to tell you, cities and towns modify CRs all the time.
Right.
It's not an unusual thing.
And this is a very odd, different situation.
It is.
Correct.
And so I had just a suggestion.
Sure.
I think it was bullet number 6.
Yes.
Um,
In the second page?
in recouping funding.
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons why we're asking for this.
Yes.
Is it possible to maybe remind them what we're trying to recoup fundings from? For example, they didn't build the CCRC, so we're not going to get the, what was it, $42,000 a year.
Fitty, yeah.
That, we trying to make that up. And then there was
Okay.
wasn't it the fire, something, fire?
Yeah, you had the whole thing with
Fire-
the
there
fire
were- the
response
fire-
and ambulance for
Yeah,
down there.
we actually solved the Boundless Adventures rent problem because we're actually getting more. The biggest
Well,
thing
that
we
was also one of the things, though, that this was supposed to help
offset the
recoup-
back rent.
Right.
That's the biggest thing that we
We
lost.
haven't gotten any rent.
We haven't gotten any run from Boundless. The CCRC not being built, there was a penalty, but from what I understand, the town does not want another CCRC. It wasn't gonna get built,
But
so.
that revenue.
That's the back revenue from the.
It was giving back the fact that they didn't have to pay that revenue ever.
Yep,
That.
it's
and,
forgiving them that back rent.
And so just reminding people, because they don't
Yep.
remember what was in the document.
That's a good point.
Um,
I'm
and
just
why
pulling that up
we
now.
want to do this.
Right.
You know, why we want to be able to sell the water. We don't want to run it.
No, and for those that aren't privy to it, the benefits for having the conservation restriction listed is to help Cordelia's farm. You know, they're a big farm for water that is needed to install a commercial kitchen. Down at the pit, the Worcester Sand and Gravel is a potential home to a day program for.
And I didn't
Right,
know
for-
that they have they requested water.
I actually met with Cordelia's.
No, I mean the autism.
The pit.
They have not, but it is going to be a facility
Mhm.
that needs water. So,
Okay.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I've reached out several times to them and have not been able to connect. So,
Okay. You know, and.
But I just didn't know whether maybe just elaborate a little
elaborate
bit
on that one?
on that, you know, and then I'm fine if you want to send it off.
Yeah, and then the other two is, one is for the Stevens Foundation. I mean, Mr. Stevens came here a few years ago, wants to put up a public museum, but, oh, well, you need water. And then the last one was planning board for potential future housing. So just so that folks are aware of why we're doing this and the benefit back to the town, because otherwise, if the conservation restriction isn't listed, you've got a parcel of land with a couple wells that whoever builds there, well, congratulations, you got 2 wells, and everybody else suffers.
Right.
So I think you've just gotta narrow it down. Here it is, yeah, send it, let them read through it, hopefully they will read through it by Wednesday, and can come with questions.
And
Okay.
you and I mean, we're going to let you do
Oh, yeah.
the talking, and we'll support you in any way we can.
Perfect. That works.
Okay.
Maybe. All right, new business. We've taken care of Graziella, congratulations. So the next one is an application for a special event permit to hold a movie night on September 27th, so not this Friday, but the coming Friday down at South Commons. In the event, it's nasty weather. The school has provided their permission to go inside and watch the movie there. It is my understanding the movie title is still yet to be determined, but so that's what that one is. And they did it I think last year they did it. They held a movie down there. It went over well, but
So, you want a motion?
yes, please.
And they need porta potties, correct, for the movie night?
Yes, they
and
do,
the Fall
and
Fest?
I did send her the information that they had to use approved vendors for that, and Julie did on both of the
I
events.
thought they had a
state
porta
that
potty down there.
But they're down the
porta
other.
potties they get are from the
Yeah.
approved source for the Board of Health, so they're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I, well, first I wanted to say that, could we please change the special events form from Chief Galvin to Chief
I
Shartner?
didn't even see that,
Oh.
sure.
It's been that way for a long time.
Okay.
And I think it's probably time. It was on both the both special event permits that I noticed it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will make a motion to approve the special event permit to hold the movie night on September 27th at South Common.
I believe, I will second it. I want to say concessions open at 6:30, movie starts at 7. All right, so we have motion, a second, no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. All right. Zipping down to the next special event permit is for Fall Fest to be held yet again down at South Common, similar to last year, on October 19th. They'll have cornhole as a fundraising event, they'll have pumpkins, they'll have candy, they have a parade for a contest. I'm trying to think what they did last year,
Do
but
a
it's basically
trunk or
or treat that they're looking for volunteers. So rinse and repeat from last year. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Zipping down to at that fall festival on October 19th, we have a one-day special application submitted by Jamie Muldoon of Clover Road Brewing. Again, they were down there last year. There were no incidents. People were fine for that. So can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Next one up is to discuss and potentially sign a mutual aid agreement with North Worcester County Drug Task Force. Kristen?
This is actually a pretty easy one. The North Worcester County Drug Task Force, from what I understand, has been in existence for multiple decades, but it's never been codified in an official agreement as to how it works, and just to have all of the member communities sign off on it. So it is literally being shipped around from town to town. It is Berlin's turn to enter into this agreement. It has been reviewed by Chief Shartner, and he has recommended that we enter into the agreement. It does basically just outline exactly how things are being done now.
So.
May I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. All right. Next up, Berlin Seniors request. So a couple weeks ago, the Berlin Seniors, not Seniors COA, but the Berlin Seniors, asked me to come by to a meeting that they wanted to toss an idea about. There's really nothing for us to vote on for this, but they're very much interested in doing something for the 250th anniversary of the U.S. So like the bicentennial plus FIDI.
Of
The U.S., us, the United States.
Oh, I thought it was Berlin.
No,
No.
no, U.S.
It has a fun name, too, that I already forgot.
Yeah, you sent me the link and I sent it over. So they're looking and just wanted suggestions, thoughts on, obviously the Berlin Seniors, they are a small group of folks. And they know to have this centennial and a half, because I don't know what the real name for it is, that there's going to take a lot of people with a lot of groups to pull together committees to
If you're going to do it in every single town, too.
Correct. Committees to do insert something, committees to start fundraising, because obviously a lot of the activities that they had talked about, one of them's fireworks. We know from Old Home Day, fireworks is gigantically expensive, to do. So they were just looking to us for, support, thoughts, suggestions, where it would be a townwide event. I suggested to them that they also look at other towns that might be doing this, because if you have little old Berlin doing something and big gigantic Marlboro doing something, people may gravitate towards a larger thing. There's no date to when this is. Obviously, it would probably be down at South Commons, since, well, that's the only open space that we have. They were talking about like a little cow flop bingo, which I think would be totally hysterical. I would be buying up tons of spaces on the field for that. They
did that
a while ago.
Well, they did that for the school, I think.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah. So they're just looking for ideas, suggestions on next steps. As I mentioned.
And if we're interested.
Yeah, if we're interested in helping to organize, because it truly is going to take more than a village, and where you've got 2 years out, you're probably going to have a bunch of people who maybe want to plan it, and then you're going to have a bunch of people who may end up need to be spending all day down there, and part of the night before and the night of cleaning up. So there's a lot of work. Kristen was kind enough to find a website. I don't remember the name of it.
250 something?
Something.
Well done.
250?
250something.org. But I did send it over to the Berlin Seniors to say, hey, take a look, because they had suggestions and ideas of this. So I told the seniors that I would bring it and throw it out there, that we'd ponder. And
I told Judy when I saw her at Market Basket that I would remind you if you forgot.
See? No, I had it. No, are you kidding? I had it right there. As soon as I left their office, our downstairs meeting, I went home and went ding and put it on the agenda so that I would not forget.
It is America250.org, and I have to tell you what they call this, because it's so cool, if I can say it. The semi-quincentennial.
Yep.
That's a word for you kids to have in your spelling bee.
But can you spell it?
Oh, it's just
I
how
don't spell.
exactly how it sounds, isn't it?
I know.
Mhm.
You really want me to spell S-E-M?
Can you use it in a sentence? What's the
Yeah.
origin of this? So yeah, so, take it away, ponder, we'll bring it up again, but at least I can
Let's
tell
bring it
them.
up again when,
Scott's back, yeah,
Mhm.
so we can put it on another agenda. So that's all that was the Berlin Seniors' request to do something, because I think they're panicking, thinking, oh my God, we have to run this, and it's like, no. Because I'm thinking we talked to the old Home Day Committee and find out what they went through. We talked to Eloise, who did, the Town of Berlin's celebration and what she did, so that we could get an idea of the depth and breadth of this, and to honestly look at it and go, love to, can't, for that. So that's all I had.
so you just let her know that we've talked about it and we're going to probably talk again about it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. All right, last up on the new business agenda is the discuss live streaming select board meetings on YouTube. Kristen?
I will turn it over to Miss D.
Ms. D?
Is there a downside to this?
I don't see one.
Okay.
It's part of the plan we already pay for. We already have a YouTube channel. I've spoken to Cable Access. Brittany says that she would just need to hook or connect the Zoom account with the Cable Access account on YouTube. She'd like to try it out in advance to make sure it all works well, and then write up some instructions, and then we can start. But since we're going into budget season and we'd like people to be able to see more of what's going on, it might be a viable option to have more viewership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would look like what the schools do.
Yes. Except that the last meeting I went to that was online, there was no meeting. I don't know what happened.
Oh.
But, I mean, I didn't go back and check later, but it wasn't live or something must have happened. But anyway.
Technical difficulties.
Well, who knows?
I mean, so some of the items, because I Googled searched around and came up with, it said that one of the issues with live streaming is that there is no opportunity to block mocking or malicious contents or comments that show up. So again, like if somebody
From-
came in and said you're a blah blah blah, somebody could post up there you're a blah blah blah, and everyone to see it.
We avoid that by having the webinar function though,
Okay.
because that way no one can actually post anything unless
Okay.
we make it
Promote
public,
them.
unless we promote
We
them.
actually don't allow any question and answers or chat.
Right.
Okay.
That's the way
Right,
our
right.
account is set up.
All right, so that was going to be my next question about who's going to monitor YouTube, like who will be checking for questions, how will people be allowed to speak?
They're just watching live. If they want
So
to
there's
do
no
hybrid,
interaction.
they would still use the link
Yep.
to attend via Zoom. However, the live portion is just to watch it live. It is not for interaction.
All right, and the cost, you said is included in what we're
We
doing
already
now?
pay for, yep. Mhm.
Right, so the difference between what we're doing now, hybrid and live streaming, is,
People don't have to log into Zoom. They don't have to worry about understanding how to use Zoom or seeing
Okay.
their name there in the participant list.
Right.
It's in the privacy of their own home, on a smart TV or on a computer, iPad, or
okay.
telephone.
And you said that documents can't, it's called doxing, which that was like a new word.
Oh, yeah.
Dropping of documents, they're not gonna be allowed to do that?
Well, we don't have
Okay.
the ability for anybody to do that.
All right. Will
You
we
can share
be-
your screen.
Only if you're a panelist.
Right.
Okay.
I don't, yeah.
So unless you're gonna dox us, Chris, I think we'll be okay.
All right. Will we be able to see who's online like we do now?
No.
No.
Okay.
No?
That's the part of the goal of it, is the anonymity. It's like watching on your television at home.
All right.
Mhm.
So they can't tell when the school has this? They can't tell who's watching?
Just
Not on-
like that.
Not on YouTube,
Okay.
no.
And,
Good to know.
how it will be recorded the same way?
Yes, we would
So-
still be a hybrid meeting with cable access recording as they normally do. We just add in the function of the live stream on YouTube.
Okay. Well, I'm comfortable trying it for a couple sessions and see how it goes, and then if it horribly fails, pull it.
Well, if the
Sure.
school can do it, we should be able to do it.
Mm.
And they probably have more issues with people.
What was that?
Can you find out how many people are actually like tuning in?
No, I asked that to see like who's online, you
No,
can't.
but
Oh.
just like, is there a viewing?
It may show you the number of views. I'm not sure if it would do that or not.
Well, when you look at the school, when they're gonna have a live meeting, it'll
Mhm.
say, 12 people waiting.
Oh, okay.
12 people waiting, meaning
Waiting
that's
for it to
usually
start.
before before
Sure.
the thing starts.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, who knows by the end? Usually it's like 2 people.
All right, so yeah, I'm good with a trial run.
Because that's nice too, and all you have to do is click the button and you're
Yeah,
there. You
goes
don't
right
have to
there.
log in, put your name, do
Okay.
all of that kind of stuff like you have to do with Zoom.
All
It's similar to if it was live, if it was a cable access channel on your TV, if we had that technology to live stream it
Yep.
onto cable, it's kind of like a baby step between, which is kind of nice.
And we'll come up with marketing on this to let folks in the town
Oh,
know.
sure. Oh, absolutely.
Look at you.
I know.
You're all over that, aren't you?
Canva?
Yeah.
Put it on I'll put it on cable access.
I'll put it everywhere.
Hey, you know what? Write it up and give it to Copilot, and we'll come back all spiffy nice. Mm-hmm. All right.
Pilot.
Oh, Copilot, it is out there by Microsoft. It's awesome. So you could write something up and you're not really comfortable with it. You give it to Copilot, boom, back comes a professional document. It's
It's free marketing.
AI.
if you
thing?
use
AI, right?
Microsoft Edge and you look up in the corner, like in your little initial or something is there, down in the panel will be Copilot and legit copy, paste, and it goes, AI takes over. Blah, 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 ding, and spits it back, copy, paste, done.
You should try that
Copilot.
with your Conservation Commission.
See what it does to my Concom memo.
Run it, take the Word legit, take the
my
Word document and
gosh.
put it up there
Yeah,
and
but
see.
make sure you bring
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one
no,
you
no.
really want to bring.
I'm gonna try this out
Try it
because I
Wednesday
did not
night.
know about
Yep.
it.
What time is
That's really cool.
Concom starts at 7, but I looked at their agenda, we're not up like early.
I think
You're
she
on
said 7:30.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what time I posted your meeting for.
Okay.
all right. All right, so then next up is board questions and liaison updates.
Hang on a second, I'm writing this down. Well, I did attend a little bit of the Council on Aging meeting, Kristen and I did. I wanted to hear about, WRTA and all that stuff, but then we had technical difficulties with them because they were all downstairs waiting for us.
Yes, I've
Or
explained
for everybody
to them
to come downstairs,
a
and we were
hybrid
waiting for them
meeting.
to log on. And
Yeah. Did you just watch me? Because that was all that was on there.
That's all I saw.
I'm really sorry. I feel sad for you.
So then I had to leave that one a little early after they finally got started, and that was when the school meeting never happened.
Gotcha.
So, the only other thing I was gonna say is I did see today in an email that the tour of Berlin Memorial School
Yeah.
will be at 1 p.m. on Wednesday.
And I unfortunately have a Neshoba Valley dispatch meeting, and we are doing the director's evaluation, which I had to compile and give. So unfortunately, I cannot go, so I don't know if anybody else.
I was planning to go.
Okay.
But he said to let him know if you could not go, so maybe he could arrange for another time.
Okay. I did write to him and I said, is this the annual tour that the school does every fall, or is it for something specific? So I was just waiting to hear back from him on
I
it.
think it's just the annual tour, because he said something like, I was told I needed to.
Well, yeah, the language was a little different, so that's why I wanted to make sure I understood the purpose of the tour.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the
Language
annual
was a little curt.
tour. So, yeah, I was planning to go. If you do find that you're gonna do another date,
I'll let you know.
let me know. I thought maybe it'd be nice to go and introduce myself. But you're also welcome.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Okay. So that's all I've got.
All right, rec, we've kind of covered. What I'm gonna start doing again, which you started, so the item did an awesome job about FIA. Do you have them up yet? the frames?
I'm working on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what Dee thought was that articles that appear, as folks are waiting in her little vestibule area, to talk to Kristen or are queuing up in there, is start to put up items, articles in there specifically about Berlin. So I got an item and have the article on FIA that she's going to put in a frame, put it on the wall. Right behind that one was an article that I had worked with Concom because one of the bridges down in Beaver Brook got taken out by a tree. Conservation went to Lowe's. Lowe's donated all that stuff. So props to Lowe's. I want to put that up there. For the rec stuff, all that's going on, same thing. I typed it up. I shot it to Jan. She's going to put it in the item so we can display that. So I had done it a while ago. Like every month, I just stole stuff out of the TA report and just put a little synopsis together for the town, because unless you're watching, you don't have any idea what we're doing. So I want to start doing that again and put items back to Janet, the item.
Very good.
And then I'll obviously I'll run them by you. But yeah, it's just going to be stealing stuff out of Kristen's
How
report.
do you get a? Well, I could ask this later. Get a subscription to the item.
It's online. I forget how much it is a year. $30, $35. But yeah,
I think I tried once before and it didn't.
yeah. I can ask
Didn't
Jan.
work, but-
I'll ask Jan to do that because when you get the subscription with the electronic version, I think you get one free. Take a lookie when she posts it online. Then you can look at it.
If you don't have a subscription.
Right, if you don't have the
right.
subscription.
Yeah,
so
that's what I've been
she's-
doing,
yeah.
and it's like, what do you mean that's my last article?
Yeah, so I'll ask her. But we'll get that going to get people up to speed.
Okay. Was there something in here we need to sign?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the North Worcester
Just,
County.
Yep.
just the chair.
Oh, just the chair? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so our only other item is that there are no executive sessions scheduled for today. Boo-hoo-hoo. So can I take a motion to
Adjourn?
adjourn?
So moved.
I will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
See you on the 30th. Thank you.